Okay, welcome everyone. I think we are ready to begin your presentations. How are y'all feeling? Good, good. All right. Yes, congratulations. Y'all have worked really, really hard. We're incredibly proud of all your effort y'all put into this. So I'm just here to say great job already, because I know they're going to be terrific, and we're just really excited to hear your thoughts and your ideas that you've been working on presented, and we're just very excited to be part of your problem solving, and just want to congratulate your team leaders too for working with you so hard the past few days. So join me, students, in congratulating your team leaders for all their work. Okay. We've run through a little bit of what the process is going to look like, students, but I'm going to give you kind of a heads up as far as what the teams are in the order. We've had to make a little bit of adjustment, so listen carefully. We're going to first go with the Eagles, then the Swans, then the Giraffes, then the Goats, the Monkeys, and Puffins, okay? I will remind you when the next group is up, okay? But we'll start with the Eagles. Groups are going to proceed from this side, and then they're going to come onto the stage. Your microphones are already on. Bring your tent cards and place those up on your seat. And then we will have a time card right here who will help us in keeping track of time. So watch closely. Thank you, Tanisha, for helping with this. I'd also like to thank our judges for giving their time for being with us. Thank you for being here and helping us evaluate these presentations. So I appreciate your time very much. Thank you. Okay, if we are ready, we will start with the Eagles. So Eagles, if you'd like to proceed up to the stage, let's give them well into the front.
Obesity is a huge issue that impacts not only our nation, but our state too. It leads to diabetes, high blood pressure, and in many cases even deaths. The roots of obesity, however, can be simple decisions. Decisions so simple, such as choosing between a bottle of water and a sugary soda, such as the one I have in hand. Obesity results from unhealthy lifestyle, which consists of eating calorie-rich foods and a lack of exercise. This occurs a lot amongst the working class who do not have the time or resources to register their children in extracurricular activities such as sports. As you can see above, Texas faces many obesity issues. There is a proven correlation between low income and obesity. Austin is heavily populated by the minorities listed, and 1 in 5 residents are currently in poverty. Also, sugary drinks make up the top calorie intake in teens on a daily basis, being at 220 calories daily, beating pizza, which is 213 calories daily.
While deciding on how to tackle this prevalent issue of obesity in Texas, we first looked at different solutions. The first one being to start a fitness program that will encourage our youth to become more active and learn more about a healthy diet. The problem with programs like this is that, one, they already exist. The Boys and Girls Clubs of America and Little League Baseball already encourage kids to become more active in their community, and 2, people don't have to join these programs. There's no way to ensure that they will be motivated enough to exercise, and if they did, they would be doing so already. This is why we are advocating the introduction of an excise tax on sweetened beverages, along with a powerful hard truth ad campaign that will endorse our tax. With an aggressive tax, we don't hope people will buy less soft drinks. They will buy less soft drinks because it will hurt them financially if they don't. And our ad campaign will ensure the success of our tax and promote health aggressively. Sugary drinks were the single largest source of calories in a Texan's diet in the past 10 years. With our tax plan, Texans will have big dreams and a smaller appetite.
So, going more into depth about the previously mentioned sweetened beverages tax, this is something that does have precedence in multiple levels of government. First of all, this is what we call a sin tax or an excise tax, and it would discourage the purchase of certain products. For example, Texas does have taxes on products such as tobacco of $1.41 per pack, or liquor, which is $2.40 per gallon. While taxing a beverage may seem like a drastic measure, it has happened before, and it does have support in many levels of government, and there is people willing to lobby for it or to fund it. So this can be seen in cities such as Seattle and Philadelphia, which have passed similar taxes in the past. In addition, in entire countries such as Mexico, which passed a similar tax 2 years ago, they did see a decrease of 12% in this first year only, and this number continues to decrease in the consumption of sweetened beverages. So the point of saying this is that such a tax is completely possible in many levels of government, and what we want to do is a pilot program, specifically in the city of Austin because of the progressive mindset that is found here, which would be able to bring it to its full potential and make our appetites smaller.
Now, I would like to outline the policy that makes up this 5% plan. As the name suggests, we will be targeting drinks where their content is 5% sugar and over. Drinks with higher rates of sugar will be taxed 7 cents for every ounce that puts them over this percentage. This means the corporations will have to do this calculation at the distribution level and tax accordingly. One reason we see this as an effective means for solving the solution is because it tackles not only the consumer's health-conscious choices, but also the choices in these corporations themselves. It's in the favor of corporations to lower their sugar taxes in order to lower the amount of the tax. And so if consumers do opt for these sugary drinks, they are still getting a reduction of sugar in their diets. As mentioned before, Austin is an excellent place to implement this program. The Democratic Party here is 64% of the population, showing that if we use this to advocate in the Austin City Council, it makes our visions of bigger dreams over big appetites attainable.
Placing this tax on sweet beverage may have various pros and cons. Cons such as in New York, where people found a way to work around policy. A beverage with 16 grams of sugar could be replaced by obtaining 2 beverages half the size and with 8 grams each for the same price. However, in our sweet beverage tax, we help deter consumers from having sugary drinks as an option. The reason being, the beverage tax raises the price as opposed to targeting cup size. We may also encounter that companies use sugar alternatives, such as corn syrups. In our policy, beverages with sugar alternatives will also be placed a tax. We could also encounter that people may threaten to move away, to go to other cities to buy sweet beverages without a tax. But we can assure that not 50% will go, just like when Austin replaced plastic bags to reusable bags. And we may continue having big dreams, not big appetites.
The Truth Movement, founded in 1999, is a campaign that advocates against smoking in teens, and it has proven to be highly effective, and it is something that we can implement in obesity.
Alongside the 5% plan, we will additionally implement the Healthy Lifestyle campaign. Simply, the output is to not only spread awareness about obesity, but to make the need to reduce those percentages and ultimate motivation for the population in Austin ubiquitous. The way we will expose it to the audience and their viewing is by utilizing social medias, for example, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, newspapers, and news broadcasts, attain the reach and get the standard deviation in a good stance. While having our audience in consideration, the Healthy Lifestyle campaign will consist of logical approaches like statistics direct messages and straight to the point messages, demographic appeals like Spanish translation to reinforce and promote our message of physical activity and reveal the balanced foods, and remember to have big dreams, not a big appetite.
We understand that many of the citizens may oppose the campaign because of its relations to the sweetened beverages tax and to the bad connotations taxes have. By exposing the campaign in schools, social medias, and public interaction, we hope to improve the public outlook. Along with exposure, a major component to the Healthy Lifestyle campaign is funding, which can be solved by using the tax money collected from the sweetened beverages tax, as well as partnerships with sports companies, corporations, hospitals, and foundations who support and benefit our cause, such as the Fun Guys organization created by the Moose. Some goals we have to accomplish with the tax is to see a 20% drop in consumption within 2 years. If our pilot program succeeds, we can hope to spread the tax throughout Texas and possibly nationwide, alongside with the Healthy Lifestyle campaign. Our goal for the solutions used is to see a 10% decrease in obesity rate within 20 years.
Now, after presenting the solution, the tax policy and ad campaign, we're going to need immense support to put this in action. We're going to need your influence and your vote. We're asking you to make a choice today, a choice that considers the population and their well-being at hand. The choice is yours for a healthier Texas. Thank you.
Now, are there any questions? Okay. Yes, front row. You want to say that?
I didn't really understand the Mexico tax. Was that also on sugary beverages or just?
So there has been many similar taxes. They all have their own policies. The one in Mexico, it implemented a tax based on the content of sugar per milliliter, and this was implemented 2 years ago. The first year they saw a decrease in consumption of sweetened beverages, and it continues to be in effect today.
Yes.
I like your idea. It has been tried, or similar things have been tried, and have met significant amounts of resistance on two levels. One, politicians are heavily lobbied to not support these types of efforts by the food and beverage industry, and it's an extraordinarily powerful and well-funded lobby campaign, typically. Second, the same lobbyists also try to sway public opinion against it by calling this the nanny state. Someone's telling you what to do, you can't have what you want, etc. And that has been very successful in the past as well in turning the public against ideas like this. What makes you think that your idea would be different in both of these respects?
With the ad campaign, that is where we're going to collaborate with different corporations to implement the ideas of healthy eating, most than just no sodas. Basically, trying to produce a more significant change in the beverages themselves than just reduce people wanting them in a way. So it'll go hand in hand.
So with the campaign, we'll basically be able to get the citizens onto like our side, onto like trying to be healthy and things like that. So then, like people will be more motivated.
What's in it for them?
Basically, with the revenue that we get from the tax, we will also fund their different, different ideas than just don't do that, but to do that, but not to an extent. Don't go past beyond what is recommended.
Also, in addition to that, we can also look into the past to see how such taxes have been implemented. For example, in the United States, Seattle and Philadelphia have been able to pass similar legislation. And what happened there was that, yes, there was corporations that were fighting really hard against the tax, but there was also people fighting a lot for the tax. For example, Michael Bloomberg was a really influential and invested a lot of money into it, and eventually the tax did pass in both cities, and we know that they have plans to continue to fund in different cities to spread this tax.
Adding on to that, obviously we are not our true goal is not to ban sodas themselves. It's more to put a limit to the amount of sugar or the sugar percentage it goes on it. And we do recognize that we would have opponents such as huge corporations such as Coca-Cola or Pepsi, but if they could end up putting limitations to even their sizes, and which could end up in huge profits for them.
As well, corporations will be more motivated to help support our campaign and our tax because we are helping the minority become healthier.
Okay, so you're saying they would help them from a marketing perspective.
Thank you for tackling this topic that's really important in healthcare. So a couple of questions, and maybe you've thought about this, that you can answer. Your tax would disproportionately affect the working poor, and disproportionately the working poor is who suffers from obesity. And the revenue that you're looking at is going to be implemented into marketing this educational piece. What other programs have you thought about implementing since we're talking about Austin, on the Eastern Crescent, which is where we have our hardest hit disproportionality of healthcare equity?
Precisely about the low-income minority aspect. In Mexico, that was a very specific population that the tax affected, and we don't necessarily see it as a negative effect, but a positive one. Hispanics and minorities tend to be the more obese, especially in Texas, and with this tax, they will be discouraged from purchasing soft drinks, which will then help their health.
So are you tying obesity directly to soft drinks?
Yes. Not as 100%, but that is definitely we definitely want to decrease obesity, and it's a start. We don't want to go so heavily into taxing all sugars, but that's where we wanted to start from.
Yeah, looking at the statistics, we can see that there is this huge kind of correlation with the consumption of sugary drinks and obese people. We see like in rates of obesity, sugary drinks actually make up about 46% of the average person's diet. And so with that, if we can reduce that amount, it would take a lot of the caloric intake from the amounts of sugar in those drinks.
Also, the taxes wouldn't be put only, I mean, they would be put into sugary drinks, but there would be limitations to dairy and nutritional beverages.
Okay, good job.
Good afternoon. I'm Joy.
My name is Becky.
My name is Makash.
My name is Judith.
I'm Kezia.
My name is Johanna.
And we are Generation 1. A very big problem in United States and Texas specifically is the absence of first generation students in higher education. And this is mostly due to about 2 to 3 reasons. One being that most first generation students are usually from low income families and they do not have the resources that they need to advance in the college process that their peers have. Also, their parents didn't go to college, so they really don't know what the college process entails and they can't help them. Or their parents don't see the need for college because they think, well, if I didn't go, then what's the point of you going? And also, when these kids sometimes do get to college, they don't have the support system or the resources that they need in college, and they end up dropping out and returning to their local communities, and this just creates a cycle of hopelessness in the community.
So we want to go ahead and offer you guys a little bit of background information, facts, and statistics on Texas education. So as you can see in the PowerPoint, the number of students enrolled in a college institution after high school and the number of students non-enrolled. Now you may be thinking, oh, well, at least we have more students enrolled, right? But still, the number of students non-enrolled is still very large, and that is not including high school dropouts. Also, overall, 20% of the students that actually go to college follow through and get a degree. We knew that for our project, we needed to specify and focus in a specific region of Texas. So we decided, South Texas, and more specifically, Edinburgh, Texas. So here are some statistics about the area. 90% of the students are Hispanic or of Latino background. 60% of them graduate high school, meaning 40% of them drop out. 22% of the students that graduate high school actually graduate college, and 98% of them attend public schooling.
So with this program, we would like to shed light on an untouched subject called the college process. And we have devised a solution that won't only be beneficial to the city of Edinburgh, but to the state of Texas as a whole. And this would be called Generation 1, or GO. And at first, we decided that this program would be implemented during the summer, where kids could come out on their own time. But we understand that kids have their own circumstances during the summer. Not everyone would be able to attend. Also, there are no application processes to join this. We don't want to exclude students just based on criteria that they do not meet. And to ensure that all students are really getting the help that they need, we will be gathering statistics and recording them for those who do attend the GO program and graduate high school and college, and those who don't.
So a big belief of GO is that in order to actually make an impact on students' lives, it's important to start young. In order to be able to plant the seed of knowledge into their brains and continue to water it as they grow. So a big thing about GO is that we start in elementary school. We start showing them the fun things about college, right? Taking them to college visits, taking them to graduations, career days, in order to be able to establish confidence within the student's life that they can grow up and one day be the person on the other side of that story. And so by enforcing self-esteem, we are able to create a successful process that leads to college and to a college education. And also we will be including parents on this with college saving workshops starting from elementary school. Then going into middle school, we begin to prep them for high school with resume building workshops and SAT and ACT information, as well as parents who join in on these sessions. Then once they get into high school, we begin to make the program more intense where we institute college-bound advisors who work with them on the bi-weekly and also inform them about scholarships, such as we've teamed up with Team Blue Jay on their SOAR program, which will be a way for our students to be able to be informed about scholarships. And then our college-bound advisors will also teach them about college applications and have essay workshops with them, and we will have resources for undocumented students in order to not exclude anyone in the Valley. And then parents will also be included on all college-bound advisor activities. Then we will also have a mentor program where we pair local college juniors with
with high school juniors in order for them to go through their last 2 years of school together and then move on to graduate together. And then once they graduate from high school, we've teamed up with Team Otter on their Promote Work to Network program in order to teach our students professional skills and be able to have support groups once they graduate high school in order for them to stay in college and ensure college success.
Of course, there are many arguments against their program. For example, seminars and meetings won't help students who have a short attention span. And there are already nationwide programs instituted to help promote college preparation, such as AVID, a classroom-based initiative. So why is Go necessary? And even if students don't have AVID in their schools, they have a world-class information database system called Google. Some critics may argue that the internet already contains a plethora of college statistics, test data, and FAFSA information at students' disposal. These critics have valid issues with our solution, but we've come up with some statistics that can help challenge those concerns.
So one of the main objections is that our advising meetings would have no long-lasting impact on our students. But research shows that the more advisor meetings or advising seminars that a college student attends, the more likely it will be for that student to continue on to their second year of college. The second objection is that there are already other programs established, like AVID, but the AVID program, 4 out of 10 of their students do not commit to a college or university, a 4-year college or university. So that's where we would step in, because AVID does not really offer support after high school and college, and they also may discourage some students because it's a required and enforced class. The third main objection is that the internet already exists and the internet contains all the information that anyone could need, making our program seem unnecessary. However, there are 20% of college students who do not get help with college schoolwork from their parents, which shows that parents aren't really getting enough information from technology itself or the internet in order to help their kids make decisions in college.
Now for funding. Our program has a variety of funding options. Primarily, our program would try to receive funding from the school district. Secondly, we would like to receive funding through partnerships with governmental programs such as the Gear Up program, and we would also receive funding through the school improvement grants which the government gives. These options have worked for the AVID program, showing that these options and options similar to these are feasible. Thirdly, as years progress and college alumni that participated in our GO program graduate college, they will have the financial capabilities and connections to help fund GO.
So in conclusion, in order to reduce the absence of first-generation students in higher education and to better inform their parents about the college process, where GO will start placing the seed and planting the seed in these kids from a young age to make them excited about college and to make sure that we water this seed from kindergarten through high school and even onto college, and to make them stay in college and graduate to become productive citizens of society. And when first-generation kids go to college, they're more than likely going to be successful, and this makes their family successful, and eventually the society as a whole just benefits from this whole process. And also we plan to advance this program from Edinburgh to Texas and eventually to the United States, as we think it will be very beneficial to every school district across the country. So today we implore you to support GO and to grow our future generations. To that we say, let's go Generation 1.
Great job. Are there any questions? Tabera.
Great presentation. You talked about that a lot of first-generation college students are from low-income families. And so one of the ideas for your workshop was to have a workshop for parents to teach them about college savings accounts. How would you encourage those families who are already strapped to put money into a college fund for something that's so future?
I think it's important that we're starting so young so that there's able to be a buildup of the money. So when parents see through our workshops that education is something that's necessary, something that will get their students ahead, I think it really will touch their hearts, and they'll be able to say, hey, this is something that we really need to consider and we really need to take advantage of, even if we're just putting in a penny a month. It's something that can grow.
And I don't know if anybody has heard of the term the sticker price shock. So when parents see this huge amount of money, they kind of like freak out. But when we start from young, we encourage them that they don't have to plan this all in one day, and they don't have to plan for the whole college tuition. This is in hopes that the children will grow up and they will get scholarships and they will get financial aid. But this is just to help them along the way and to have a backup plan for them just in case they go up and they don't have enough financial aid or scholarships.
Okay, considering that parents in the economic class that you're looking at tend to work full-time jobs and don't really have the capability or time commitment to go to something like this, how would you encourage those parents to then go and invest in your programs and be a part of that?
So our program is on a base of a one-to-one advisor meeting. We would be able to provide specific appointments to where those parents have time to meet. So if they get off of work at like 6 or 7, then maybe they can have appointments one-on-one at 8 p.m. or a different time that fits them. And even if they can't meet all of the time, their student will be able to, during school hours, with advisors face-to-face.
Great presentation. But I'm wondering, is this focused just then on the 60% that go on to graduate high school? And have you worked anything into your ideas about the 40% that are dropping out? Being from a border town myself, the reason a lot of students have to drop out is because of the family obligation to work. And so college isn't necessarily for every student. Is there a solution in your program that would capture that 40% that's dropping out for maybe a certification program or an immediate out of high school to work plan?
So of course, like we're starting off in elementary school, right? So they're gonna be giving, we're gonna show them like the variety of options. So maybe like a technical school, a 2-year institute, something like that. So if that is their case, that is their situation, they will be able to go that route.
And you did say, are we only focusing on that 60%? Of course not. Our question was based on the first generation high school students or first generation college bound students. So it's not, we're not going to focus, we're only focused on the kids that are actually going to graduate. No, we're actually trying to lower that percentage of the students that are dropping out, because that is a really high percentage, especially for a border school.
So what we've heard from 2 keynote speakers this week is one of the really difficult problems that you guys are facing, and that's faced typically from a cultural perspective, is the fear of parents of letting their kids go and feeling like they can let their kids go to college, or they even want their kids to go away to college. And that's a really tough nut to crack. Do you do anything in your program to help groom parents and help them tackle that more difficult cultural aspect of things?
So as we've stated, right, it starts all the way from elementary school, so that we can get both not just students but also parents into that mindset of this is for the benefit, overall benefit. No matter how hard it is, it's something that must happen if you want your child to succeed, if you want your child to do better than you, because typically these are children of immigrants or immigrant families, and the whole reason people come to this country is to better themselves. And so GO will emphasize the fact that college is a way to be able to achieve dreams and continue on to better places.
And a lot of times why those parents don't really like the idea of their children going away is because they haven't been exposed to the college perspective, or at least the benefits of college. I know my parents are also like that, and it was hard for them to even let me go to this camp. But after they were exposed to the idea of going to a university that may be a few hours away or a flight away, then they're more willing to let their students, their like precious children, go away and try to seek their dreams.
Hi, my name is Jesus Contreras.
I'm Ana Sanchez.
My name is Javier Resendez.
I'm Valentina Gonzalez.
I'm Angelica Garza.
And I'm Valerie Rocha.
And I'm Vanessa Diaz.
And we make up Team Giraffe. One major problem facing Texas today is access to healthcare. As a state, We rank as one of the worst states for healthcare over all races and social classes. Our challenge is to educate families on being wise consumers of healthcare. And our essential question is how can we train young adults and their family to become more knowledgeable of healthcare access and resources?
Healthcare is important for several reasons, yet those who are eligible for it aren't even enrolled. This would later become a fiscal burden to certain families and their young adults between the ages of 19 and 34. Texas actually falls under these problems, making it the 11th worst state for healthcare. We can make a change to these statistics by training and educating the public about healthcare access and its resources available.
We thought of two alternative solutions, and the first one was to take a state legislative approach by making a healthcare class a requirement to graduate from high school. However, a huge setback from this would be that everyone doesn't finish high school. In fact, the current dropout rate in Texas is 8.5%. The other solution was to organize a public health fairs that would inform the public. However, this option may not guarantee a high school that will attend. And the route we decided to take was to create an app that will educate millennials and especially their parents and family members.
Our app is known as HIP, Healthcare Initiative Program. HIP specializes in bringing attention to healthcare coverage for young adults across the state of Texas by providing easy access to healthcare resources that accommodate to each individual's specific needs. It's as simple as either downloading our app or going to our website and creating a profile. Individuals will be able to access insurance plans that cater to their specific needs, such as wanting a higher premium for a lower copay, or vice versa. Individuals will be able to access insurance plans. If individuals already have health insurance, they can still learn about their plans, about other plans, and where they're accepted. They also have access to community events where they can learn more and be involved. HIP is designed to teach young adults about healthcare and their resources that they need to be proactive in their medical needs.
You may be wondering, what makes HIP unique from other healthcare information services? For starters, other existing websites and applications do not cater to the services HIP provides. Similarly, the Affordable Care Act websites entails a search engine that allows it to display insurances that best fit your criteria. However, they do not journey with you through your medical needs like HIP does. Plus, our services and medical notifications are merely a tap away as they are all located on your smartphone. Now we are able to guarantee that all of your personal and medical information is secured through the Healthcare Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, also known as HIPAA. This legislation provides privacy and security policies in protecting medical information. Being compliant with HIPAA regulations allows our company to better protect our clients' files.
In continuation, we have made a mutual partnership with a group here in Subiendo. They created a nonprofit organization called Rising Health. Rising Health teaches students how to keep track of their medical records. These medical records would be protected by HIPAA's policy on security.
The following website displays the design we seek to build upon when designing our app. Under the Home tab, we can find HIP's mission statement, fun facts, our sponsors, as well as a translation button to make it accessible to people all over Texas. But essentially, the main portion of this tab is to create your own profile. After creating your account, you will be directed to the Find Healthcare tab. That contains a series of questions that specialize in narrowing the options for healthcare relating to your household income, your age, the people living in your household, among other typical questions that would help the app find the best fit for you. After submitting this information, you will be redirected to the Clinics Near You tab that continues to filter out resources that are not in your proximity. Simply enter your zip code and the resources that are near your location, and Fit Your Profile will appear with contact information. After knowing what's closest to you and what insurances and clinics best fit your needs, you will be transitioned over to your Matches tab. This section of the app would provide a list of clinics and accept your insurance, along with further information in each option. In addition, we decided to include an important information tab to constantly inform young adults about the changing policies that could potentially affect their healthcare providers. For example, we included some brief information about the Affordable Care Act that people could easily access or contact us to learn more about. Within this tab, we incorporated a community events calendar. This provides information about events happening in the community that people seeking to learn more about their healthcare providers could attend. We also made sure to include an option that allows organizations that put these events together to contact us in the given circumstance that we don't already advertise this event. Following this tab, we offer an option for people that already have insurance to really comprehend their healthcare providers and compare their plans to those of others that fit their needs. We also offer a means for accessing your medical records through a partnership with the nonprofit organization, Rising Health. Simply provide your login information and you will be directed into your medical records where you can reach out to HIP if you have any questions regarding your information. Also, we decided to embed a check-in tab to keep track of the people being impacted by the community healthcare events, advertised, and the information provided. Simply check off the event you're attending and let us know you're a part of the HIP family.
Our group's goal is to decrease the number of uninsured people in Texas, as well as to inform young adults and their family about access to healthcare and other resources. We plan to implement a 4-year plan that will guarantee our app is a success, and we will start the first year by promoting the app within the top 10 most populated cities in Texas. The next year we will add an additional 15, then 20, and finally we will add the remaining counties and rural areas. Our app will be promoted through public health care fairs, doctors' offices, and major stores such as H-E-B. To encourage people to download the app, we will work towards creating incentives that will give clients offers such as Spotify Premium for 99 cents for a month. After our plan proves to be a success in Texas, we will extend our plan by 6 years to transform HIP from a state app to a nationwide app. And we will start to utilize large companies like CVS and Walmart to help promote our app. And once we have a large enough following, we will also like to partner with Google to make our app a pre-installed app in all Android phones, making it easier to access.
Texas being one of the worst states to have healthcare is a big problem. We set out to educate young adults on being wise consumers of healthcare. We have accomplished this by creating an app that gives them the resources they need to be proactive in their medical needs. We know we will have reached our goal when we can see a rate of uninsured citizens go down throughout Texas and throughout the nation. We as a team have worked extremely hard to bring our idea to fruition, and we hope we have your support in changing Texas and the country. Thank you.
Good job. Any questions? Okay. Yes.
So you're saying that this would be on the internet and smartphones, but what if you do not have access to the internet or smartphone or app? How would you deal with that situation?
So as we were looking at statistics, we saw our market is young adults and their families. So this is the range from like 18 to 35, around there. And statistics show that many of these people have phones. It's higher than 85%. So even the people who don't have phones, we have a website so they can go to public like libraries and access the website from there as well.
But how would you make sure that this young adults actually learn about this app and actually download it? And then also for those who don't speak English or like speak an alternative language but are also interested in the program, how do we draw that magnet group? Because this is Texas and a lot of us are bilingual or our parents are bilingual, and yeah, so how do we get those target group to get to your website and to get to your app? And then how do we also make sure that they even learn about the app in the first place?
So learning about the app, it benefits them. You know, at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year, when you do your taxes, you're fined for not having health insurance. So I volunteer through VITA, so I do people's health insurance. And when I was helping young adults, many of them were being penalized and they didn't even know why. So it benefits them, and through our campaign, we can tell them this information. And also on our website, I don't think we mentioned it, that there is a translation button so we can reach those wide audiences.
As far as the matching part of the program, I was wondering, how do you make sure that the playing field stays leveled for all corporations of insurance? Bigger corporations will want to pay it forward and make sure that their matches are put ahead of time, and that can lead to lower and local insurance companies being put down and see decreases in the insurance that they can provide for people. So how will you ensure that there are these guidelines and restrictions, and these restrictions don't prevent from insurance companies to back off from this?
Well, we have rules set in place for that, actually. Since our target is people, we want to have everyone being fair. So they can't do that. Our survey finds the best insurance plan for our people, and It's based solely on the information they provide. Our insurance plans can't come in and change that information.
Very good job with your mock-up on your website. That's really impressive, and I think it's a really interesting problem that you're trying to address. The biggest obstacle I see was mentioned prior, which is getting people to sign up, and then once you have that done, getting people to continue to engage with your app. And it's a really hard nut to crack if you don't have incentives to get people to drive their engagement. What ideas do you guys have to keep people coming back to your app and using your app? Even if you assume you get them to download it in the first place, how are you going to keep them engaged as you go forward?
So within our app, I'm not sure if this was mentioned, but there's going to be a list of different clinics in the area that you are in. So in the survey that you fill out in the beginning when you get the app, you put in your zip code, and then so if it also provides notifications when you need your shots and whatnot. So it gives you a list of different clinics that are near you, and it gives you the price range for these different clinics, and it gives you the price range, and based on your insurance, that price should fluctuate.
Also, depending on the zip code you provided and where you are located, there will be health fairs near you that they would have access to information on where these healthcare fairs are located, and they usually have like free immunizations there and vaccines, and that way they can still have the app to have this information.
So the whole incentive is basically we're saving our customers money.
How exactly, and how would they know you're saving them money?
Because we provide them with, when they first get their list of different insurances, we give them the best possible rates that fit the criteria that they, the information that they gave us. And so by choosing the right insurance for them, it allows our app to give them the best prices possible.
So how would they, I'm sorry to hog the time, but how would they know you guys are different than, say, healthcare.gov in that regard?
Well, healthcare.
That's Obamacare.
Yeah. Healthcare.gov only provides you the insurances. They don't give you further information about clinics near you or any of the other services that our company provides. They don't give you notifications of when you need to go get your immunizations or any of that sort.
Good afternoon. We are Team Goats, and we are here today to present to you our solution to an ongoing challenge in healthcare. We are Rising Health, helping young adults keep better track of their medical records. I'm Gabriela Perez.
I'm Arnaldo Sandoval.
I'm Gabby Aguia.
I'm Emily Velasquez.
I'm Steven Robles.
And I'm Fatima Zavala, and we're here to present Rising Health. So to begin our proposal, we're going to provide some key information in order to better comprehend the exact weight on this issue. So for starters, medical records are highly valued in the world of healthcare due to their contents. They provide key details that lead to preventing disease, lowering insurance costs, and better treatment for current and future generations. So despite this importance, this is an impending issue as a total of 49 states currently have doctors placing sole ownership over these documents. This leads to dangerous and fatal effects that can injure the patient, such as loss of documents, fatal errors, and overall weak healthcare.
So why exactly are out-of-date medical records an urgent matter that needs to be solved? Well, to start off, the commonness of chronic disease has dramatically increased for young adults in the past 20 years because they are not keeping up with their personal health records, also known as their PHRs. And therefore, furthermore, 88% of doctors actually recommend their young adult patients to update their PHRs. However, only 33% of them actually do so. As a result, when young adult patients develop preventable diseases such as diabetes, only 25% of young adults do not realize so because their medical records are not up to date. With this leads Texas to being ranked 34 amongst the states in overall health.
As you can see, this is an important problem to address, which is why we came up with different solutions. The first one being creating a nonprofit organization that educates students and community members on medical records. The advantages of this program would be that it would educate and be available to the general public for a free cost. It would also help maximize the potential resources that are already available. Some disadvantages, though, were that it could be susceptible to technical malfunctions, or it is difficult to get public interest nowadays. The second one was to create a medical records module online lesson plan. The advantages were that it was easy online access and available to all ages. Yet there's no incentive to actually get people to start doing these lesson plans, and specific technology would be required that are not found in certain households. The third was a mandatory annual medical history checkup, which gave the patient in-person contact with doctors, which 70% of Texas want. And it would also offer minimal security risks. Yet, the affordability was one of the cons we saw, because not every family has enough money to go to the doctor annually or the time to do so, which would make it difficult to get public compliance.
The bar graph above represents data from the U.S. Bureau of Census 2016 young adult population in Waller County, Texas. Why Waller County, you might be asking? Well, out of the many locations we came to research upon, Waller County had the largest amount of young adults, with over 22.1% of the population being young adults within the ages of 18 to 24 years old. Therefore, our goal is to target young adults for better medical record access, and Waller County is the ideal location to start any possible solutions that my partner Emily discussed, due to the location's large amount of young adults.
So we decided to create a nonprofit organization which we named Rising Health. This organization will be dedicated to educate young adults on how to use the HIP app by hosting classes. By knowing how to use the app, they will learn how to keep a better track of their medical records. Since Stephen mentioned that Waller County has the highest rate of young adults, we would start our first class there, then slowly expand it around Texas. These classes will be held in hospitals and community centers. We will also be partnering up with universities and schools to enforce the purpose of our organization. In order to get money to help us with the traveling and any necessary materials, we would be getting funding from sponsors like health districts, hospitals, doctors, and businesses. To get people's attention, we will promote our organization and its purpose on social media and through the HIP app developed by Team Giraffes.
When implementing our solution, we need to keep in mind how we are going to motivate these young adults to care about keeping track of their medical records. We also need to consider where we're going to get our sufficient funds from and who our sponsors are going to be, which we have leaned towards gaining the support of Texas Health and Human Services Commission in order to expand the program to more places. Additionally, some young adults may be more hesitant to participate in apps because of security, which our partner HIP from the Giraffes team will address through HIPAA. Lastly, as technology progresses, we would need to consider how we would be adapting our lessons to those technological advances.
Another thing to consider is the question, what happens if we do not address this problem? Essentially, with lack of keeping up with medical records, young adults would have trouble understanding the capacity of basic health information and services that are needed to make appropriate health decisions. And so additionally, health practitioners would develop a difficult time to diagnose their patients' needs and if their past medical records are not present. Moreover, the public has minimal to no knowledge of their medical diagnosis and history, leading to possible health issues in their future lives, ultimately leading to an overall low health quality.
As you can see, it is important to address this problem now. So in conclusion, how can young adults keep better track of their medical records? Our answer is by educating these young adults on how to use their available resources better. Our nonprofit organization, Rising Health, will educate young adults on the resources they have to keep track of their medical records through community classes in universities. We will have succeeded in the long run when we see a rise in the overall health of Texas, but in the present, we can see the impact we are doing by looking at the usage of medical records data on the HIP app and their ratings as well. If this data is promising, we plan to expand to other regions by getting them motivated to help us by seeing the success of our project in the locality. So please help us launch this project by allowing us to present in your local universities.
So overall, we are firm in our belief under Rising Health that we can open the door to knowing your past, fixing your present, and preventing for your future. So let's rise up together. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes.
Hi. This is a great topic. And can you clarify, is this a program for encouraging health literacy or access to your medical record? Because access to your medical record is different than health literacy, and that would be a purchase from your physician to access your medical record.
Okay, so our organization will be teaching our people how to use the HIP app that was developed by the Giraffes team. The Giraffes team and their app will take care of how these people can access their medical records. So we would only be taking care of the educating part. So we will be teaching our audiences how they can use the app and its functions and what its components are.
So it's an app to show you how to use another app?
No, it's an organization.
Oh.
We're doing classes for them to attend and seminars explaining how to better use the app to keep track of those things.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, and if they know how to use the app, then they're more likely to keep better track of their medical records, which is overall our goal. We want young adults to know what they're doing regarding their medical records.
And overall, it is a really important issue for these health records. They detail every single thing regarding a patient's history. So we want to clarify the importance and strive to educate the people on the subject and drive them to accessing them.
I know you mentioned that you were going to get funding from the Health and Human Services Commission. Have you all also considered other ways of getting funding, and what are those alternatives?
Yes, we have also considered hospitals and other programs.
Some other programs we considered were CVS Pharmacy, possibly even partnerships with any medical insurances and companies.
We also thought of maybe applying for a federal grant. Like the government does give grants out for these type of programs to help the community and, just get overall good health.
You discussed building partnerships with universities and hospitals and community centers as far as doing outreach. How would you go about getting those entities on board to build partnerships with you?
Well, our audience is targeted to young adults, so that's why we chose universities, because obviously that's where the ages between 18 to 29 are. We would possibly talk to the people that could help us make an assembly at the university to bring the young adults in, to show them what our organization is about and how they can keep track of their medical records using the HIP app.
Moreover, at the end of the day, our universities, hospitals, and our program all have the same goal to better society. So through our various programs, we can intertwine and overall have the same end goal and enforce it.
Great presentation, but what makes you think that especially young adults, because if they're busy, especially at a university, would actually attend your program?
That's one of the factors that we had to consider how to motivate them. So we were thinking through discounts on some music or other things that our generation, millennials, how to get them motivated is definitely a factor we would consider.
And we would also be creating posters in their local communities that they would be able to see, and it would also include the benefits of becoming a part of the organization and learning more about keeping track with their medical records.
With programs already in Texas, it's reported that schools don't use their entire curriculum, usually only about 50%. So how do you enforce this, that they get your message across?
Can you please repeat the question, sir? I'm sorry.
Yes, health classes and programs already in place, they don't use the entire curriculum, usually because they don't have time, and you're kind of relying on them to give across your message. So how do you enforce this?
No, I think you're kind of getting confused. We aren't necessarily going into the curriculum themselves. It's about educating overall. So we're not mandating them. We are partnering with the Commission of Health, but it's overall just a kind of a program, kind of like Jumpstart for Heart. It's not necessarily required, but we would very much appreciate the support.
You might see it as, those assemblies we usually have at school, like talking about not using drugs and how could it affect you later in life. Like, it's not necessarily part of like a class, but they come into like assemblies, come into your school, talk to you about it. So we would kind of be doing the same thing.
Good afternoon. We are Team Monkeys. I am Ivan Lopez.
I'm Daphne Alcala.
I'm Danielle Valdez.
I'm Rona, yes.
I'm Ebony Ojo.
And I'm Daniela Castillo.
And today we will focus on the issue of closing the technical skills gap for underrepresented populations. So what is fair? Some of you define fair as having referees in a game or perhaps providing equal pay in the workforce. A form of fairness our team finds of utmost importance is for the availability and the education of technical skills for underrepresented populations. We believe this is important because it will allow for equality and for the same opportunities to ensure students are ready for college and for the workplace.
So efforts have been made by our nation's leaders to try and implement more technology into those lower income schools. However, when they do that, they tend to target only the top percentage of students, once again leaving out the bottom percentage, which is our new underrepresented population. We're also striving to make our teachers more passionate about technology, and the more our teachers are passionate, the more the students will be as well. So we compare two school districts, one very well-rounded and another not so much. In the well-rounded school district, we noticed that they invest a significantly larger portion of their budgets into the technical curriculum. And I really want to emphasize that when we talk about technology, we aren't just talking about coding and computer skills, but also learning soft skills and scientific knowledge for practical purposes.
We decided to create a nonprofit, Train Tech. Our mission statement is to provide students with equal technical training opportunities to express and build upon their interests for their professional futures. We divided technical training possibilities into interest clusters. These include business management, arts, engineering, and computer science. For instance, students who enjoy music could pursue a path which allows them to learn music composition software, music theory, and publication practices to maximize their potential as innovators in their field. We know that some programs similar to these are already in place in limited communities. However, many fail to prepare students for the future. We are here to change that.
So the primary goal of Train Tech is to support underserved schools and communities by ensuring access of technology to students. The first step towards achieving this goal is to set students the right learning materials, which means making sure students have the modern technology so they're equally exposed to attaining new skills and gaining hands-on experience. So one thing we notice is, for example, people from Dallas, they have modern computers and they're able to take laptops home, while people from the Valley, they have computers that are outdated from 2008. The second step towards achieving our goal is to ensure teachers have the proper skills and knowledge to educate students towards how to use technology. That way they're able to teach properly. And the third step is to offer technical courses that will foster growth and development and job preparation. This is important as students will be exposed to technology that is relevant to their interests in the developing world.
So my team believes it is essential to address funding and investing that school districts provide per student per year. Texas has an average of roughly 8,000, and that is ultimately below the national average, which is 11,000. Presented by the warmer colors found in large cities such as Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, and some areas of the Valley. These areas depict issues regarding funding that is set apart for purchasing technology, resources, and computer softwares that will not only aptly prepare students for college, but preparation to enter the workforce. An example is Robstown ISD. Robstown ISD significantly exhibits below average expenditures, and that would be one of our principal targets, where we would start locally and then gradually increase.
So foreign language, speech, fine arts, and PE are all required. So we thought, why isn't technology? So foreign language and fine arts are encouraged because they enforce a different way of thinking. Technology does the same thing. Coding itself is considered a language, and it requires a student to switch gears to speak that language that the computer will understand. So making some form of technology required exposes all students to the technology world. A lot of students don't want to go into a field that they don't know much about. So by exposing them to all these classes, they will become more confident, and they will hopefully become inspired and lead them to want to join those careers in technology. So Microsoft and Google know that the technology field is changing, and that when they invest in these schools, they know that by the time that these students get into the workforce, technology will have already been changed. So they are investing in adaptability. So they invest in adaptability. They invest in the courses that train students to be versatile, in hopes that the students come out with the skills to adapt to the new technology that will be out by the time that they enter the workforce.
Aside from providing an increase in extracurricular activities in schools, our team has proposed to get in touch with local universities and colleges to collab with junior highs and high schools, ranging from coding camps to engineering centers. Several universities offer summer programs in various career pathways. High schools are greatly encouraged to inform and promote available programs to encourage technology skills.
In some instances, the technology is available in classrooms, but teachers are unfamiliar and unaware of how to use this technology, and are not able to maximize its potential.
So from personal experience, I've had some teachers who have had trouble understanding the technology in their class, so they spend majority of the class time trying to figure out that technology. And then by the end of class, we haven't learned very much. So implementing technology into a class where the teacher isn't trained actually hinders a student's education.
So we believe teachers should be trained to utilize this technology and improve the learning techniques used in the classroom.
So, in order for Train Tech to accomplish its mission, it is important to partner with big organizations and companies such as Google, Dell, Verizon, and Samsung. These companies offer grants to schools where most students stem from low-income areas. From personal experience, my school was given a grant from the Verizon company. They gave us a new computer lab with advanced computers and smart screens. This resulted in the success of my classmates and I, as our college acceptance rate has raised to 100%. Thanks to Verizon's donation. This is important as it shows that the investment of companies into higher education results in the success of students who are future leaders.
So definitely we stand behind the idea that we are the future. Our students that we are impacting are going to be their future leaders and entrepreneurs, and we want to make sure that we have an understanding of our way of life, which is definitely technology oriented and moving towards that. But we're going to have these for the discrepancies and the qualifications for jobs in the workplace that are met or not met in underrepresented populations with technical skills. So Train Tech is the answer by our implementation of our goals in the curriculum, teachers, and students. So definitely the tedious scholarship process, which can be eased through the technology, which introduces the foot that we put forward when applying our students into the scholarship and college process, will be learned through the collaboration that we have with the group team Bulls, because with that, we can better ensure that they have jobs and careers in the future. So connections, patterns, and cognitive abilities are definitely enhanced and will undoubtedly be carried throughout this program that we have to evolve the educational system, society, and the economy. So what we are asking for here today is your support in the proposal to equip and hearten the legacy in America, and whether it will be through a political push, conviction in the cause, or monetary support, that you may support us and support our future. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to clarify, your issue is regarding technical skills in underrepresented communities, correct?
Yes.
So currently we're all aware of government programs that are supposedly in place to maintain equality. But I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with a school who's probably still using technology from the 90s. So how would you necessarily maintain that equality and make sure that these low-income schools are exactly targeted?
Well, our partnership with the major tech companies such as Google and Microsoft are definitely going to have that technology awareness through the beta testers that will be allowed and presented through advertising and the development in the underrepresented schools, which have low income that we've shown that are in Texas. And they will be having access to that because they will be the target of that. So the beta testers are programs through which the companies introduce their new products. And when they're introducing these products, so now the underrepresented are the first hand getting these services and learning all of these skills, which will be coming out later in the future.
Can you forward one slide? So with this slide saying that making technology courses mandatory, are you saying yes, let's do that? Or are you just saying that's a suggestion? Or are you saying no, let's make them mandatory?
I'm saying yes, let's make them.
How are you guys sure that Google or Verizon or these big companies will support you? And what are some backups? What is your net in case they don't support you?
So, for example, for my school, Verizon did sponsor us, and the reason they sponsored us is because we were a low-income school. And we're able to focus on schools that do not have enough funding, and we can tell that majority of the families are either poor income and they don't have enough financial assistance in their own homes. The companies are much more likely to sponsor them. And if they were to sponsor with us, they would be investing in a program where students would be coming out with a higher success rate. Like, for example, with us, our college acceptance rate now is 100% because we are able to access technology, fill out college applications, and work on projects, unlike before. So I feel like if they were to know that, they would definitely want to invest. And that would be the point of our organization, is to bring them in and I guess persuade them to believe that our organization is worthy.
Not only that, but they benefit through the advertising and the fact that they are getting access and feedback through these new products that they're trying to launch and get started. So definitely we're establishing the credibility there and giving them this source and our help for that. So our program will be lifted off the ground, and the fact that companies want attention because they want to push their products out there and have it known. So through that, and as well as with our partnership with our corporation, it will definitely get out there in the media to their benefit.
In a sort of way as well, it ties to the way that Google and Southwest invest in the Subiendo program. It has been proven to work, and which is why they continue to invest, because I know they're making students who are going to be potential leaders, and that's the same way our organization would work.
The sustainability piece, is that then is Verizon tied to your particular school for the next 10 years? Or
Yes, so
is this something that's going to grow for all districts, and are we going to rely on private organizations to fund every one of these low-income school districts forever, or?
We were thinking of, for the one school that we're starting with, we are going to get companies to invest. However, once more and more schools get involved in those investments, we're hoping to go to the state and the government and help us, because we have proof that this works, and once they have that proof, they're way more likely to invest in us as well.
So that school would serve as our model, kind of proving that it does work. That way more people would most likely want to donate and fundraise for us, yes.
Not only that, but there's also already interest in technology. So we have groups and clubs such as a coding team or a computer science club. So definitely there's already the interest at the student level, which inspires teachers to help out and to maximize our potential and our interest and where we want to go. So definitely if we're pushing that through the students, through the teachers, through the principals and school board, it will definitely reach that funding that is necessary for all our interests.
So, are you saying that access to technology has a direct relationship to your high school success, or are there other factors?
There are definitely other factors, but our issue is trying to close these technical gaps in the underrepresented populations, because a lot of schools, they don't have access, or we have one Chromebook cart or CAL, computers on wheels that that is supposed to go to a class of, say, 8,000 students in a high school. So definitely that's not enough availability. And so how are we supposed to work on projects and definitely get out there and research all that we have to know through our websites, such as proven through all these programs.
And by technology, we don't necessarily mean computers and coding. We also mean soft skills and how to communicate to people in the business world. So yes, it will help them in their careers after high school and in the workforce.
Yeah, it applies to all careers, not just engineering and stuff. All students will benefit from learning these skills.
These soft skills through coding actually enhance cognitive abilities, and we can recognize connections and patterns through that. So that can go and be applied through any career path. So it's not just a specific in this, but it can be carried on and is a general benefit.
Thank you for listening to us. We hope that you're able to board this train with us.
Choo-choo!
Good afternoon. I'm Valeria Guerrero.
George Rojano.
Ariadna Velez.
Axel Ortega.
Angelica Gallegos.
I am Dominic Cervantes, and we are Team Puffins. So I'm gonna start off with the question. How many of y'all took a shower this morning? Okay, a lot. I would hope. So I asked because showers are one of the biggest intakes of water usage at home. So in fact, on average, most of us will use 80 to 180 gallons of water per day. And with the global demand for water projected to increase by 55%, the issue concerning water conservation has never been more urgent. The average family will waste up to 150 gallons per week. We can stop the drop by using the alternative of recycling gray water. Gray water is water left behind from baths, washing machines, and other appliances. Aside from the obvious benefits of recycling water, such as money, reusing gray water keeps it out of the sewer, thereby reducing the chance that it'll end up in your local bodies of water. And Angelica will now address our problem.
All these circumstances lead to our problem. What alternatives can be taken to prevent more water waste in your home and school? Axel will now present our solution.
We decided to create an organization called Project WOPE based in West Texas due to their struggle with water quantity and related dryness. This organization will advocate for water conservation in the region through PWOPE. We will stop the drop with outreach into the community, bringing and funding advancements, as well as creating partnerships to fund and support our organization. With this organization, we aim to educate, provide for, and engage the community in active effort towards water conservation. Now, Ari will explain the outreach section.
We will stop the drop through Project WOPE in schools and homes with programs tailored to children, young adults, and homeowners respectively, that will focus on water conservation education, promoting eco-friendly lifestyles, and interactive activities to showcase the real effects of water waste. We would partner with Team Raccoon and RECO on educating the community to make homes more energy efficient and environmentally friendly. Homeowners will stop the drop by being reminded of the same information and offered economic resources and incentives for those that actively participate in water conservation in homes. George will now explain a little more on what we would educate the community on.
So these are the three main concepts we want to focus on because we believe that they are the most important when it comes to understanding what water conservation is, its value, and how one individual can affect the ecosystem. Wastewater and drought lessons will focus on what exactly they are and making sure that everyone is aware of the consequences caused by abusing natural or clean water. Towards the end of the curriculum, we plan to acknowledge and address common abuses of clean water and promoting alternatives with the intention to change people's lifestyles and spread the stop the drop mentality within their own communities. So this is a worksheet we acquired from our partnership with Project WET, another nonprofit that focuses on promoting water conservation. And this is just one of the many worksheets we could use in a workshop when teaching people the value of water conservation. And now Val will talk about the value of advancements.
In today's society, there have been many technological, educational, and societal advancements in efforts to stop the drop. Traditional washing machines used to use 54 gallons of water per load, and we have new technology that allows us to have washers that use as little as 7 gallons now. That's 8 more loads that you can do. In our society, the community is becoming more aware of their forgetfulness towards conservation methods, and becoming aware of our negligence is already an advancement in itself, and we can build upon that. Today, there are already water development and conservation programs that are educating students from as young as K to as old as in the 12th grade that'll reiterate a strong understanding that'll help build upon the importance of the conservation. And future advancements that are being worked on are the use of purple pipes to reuse water in newly built homes, and cities are now investing in aquifer storage and recovery systems that'll collect excess rainwater that comes in like flashes to be used in times of drought. PWOP is going to help further the community by informing and educating on these advancements and providing accessibility to them as well.
Now, all these advancements can be further accomplished with partnerships. Partnerships such as El Paso Water, Project WET, and Texas Water Conservation Association that serves as a leader and advocate for water users by acting, encouraging, and informing Congress and the Texas legislature on public awareness of water issues. This association is located in Austin. When looking for water conservation organizations, we notice that there are no organizations in West Texas when it is the driest part of our state. PWOP taking action in West Texas will only help the area. With partnerships of Texas Water Conservation Association, Project WET, El Paso Water, and other organizations, we may be able to solve this issue. Axel will now present the importance of marketing.
Social media is a strong platform that we can take advantage of to increase the number of supporters for our mission. This will improve the trust and credibility in PWOP, representing social proof. As such, simply building our audience in West Texas will significantly improve their water use habits, therefore increasing waterways awareness. We plan to use social media like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to promote PWOP and bring people together towards a common cause. In the meantime, our plan is to host events in Texas in order for PWOP to expand. Additionally, we will give PWOP t-shirts and reusable water bottles for those who attended the special meetings or events, so they can encourage others to come together to decrease water waste. Now Dominic will explain why this program is significant.
Project WOPE will be based in West Texas, the driest region of Texas. So the West region only receives about 7 to 8 inches of rainfall, while Austin receives about 34. So although there are already efforts being taken place, we will address the problem with alternative methods, and now Audie will conclude.
As you saw, people waste gallons of water daily. In order to reduce this amount, we want to introduce Project WOPE, which will promote water conservation in the community through outreach, advancements, and partnerships. With a decrease in water consumption, we would have more water in this drought-prone community, which would influence cost, quality, and energy consumption. This would be impactful to not only our community, but to the surrounding environment. Therefore, we ask you to support our organization and its mission statement. We ask you to not only support it in practice, but to help us fund it to make Texas a more environmentally friendly state. Thank you for your consideration, and remember that together,
We can stop the drop with Project WOPE.
Questions? Yes, Rudy?
Yes, sir.
I like y'all's presentation, but how do you measure your success?
We would, no, go ahead.
Well, being the driest region of Texas, obviously there are no organizations taking place over there. So knowing that our population is growing and people will start expanding to the west, who is going to put the water resources out there? So therefore, with this organization, we should be able to help others, and that way we can success in this organization.
We would also measure it with data. So we would kind of see how we could conserve the water in the community, and then when there are droughts in the region, how these conservation techniques are being used to help make water last longer.
Yes.
Have you considered partnerships with local utilities, water companies that may already have initiatives? And if they already do, what type of initiatives do they have? And what types of partnerships would help you guys work together and be more effective with your program?
Yeah, so I didn't really look into besides the Project WET, which is water education for teachers. I looked more into the electrical side, because I know in electric power plants they use hundreds of gallons just to cool down after generating their electricity. So as a partnering with them, I think it would be helpful for us to partner to use, I guess, more efficient energy or electricity generating turbines and stuff like that.
Adding to that, we're also partnering up with El Paso Water, which is a utility company, and it works conservation practices that ensures water sustainability for future generations. It adopted a conservation ordinance decades ago that sets a limit on outdoor usage of water, which would also help us as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So I'm trying to understand too, because I'm not knowledgeable in the area of water conservation, but I am in an area where we have frequent water restrictions and water restriction use. I don't know how that conservation plays into an area for West Texas. I'm from West Texas, and I know we're very dry. So how does that play into someone who lives in West Texas and you're telling them to conserve water, and then come the drought season, it's something that we lived for generations. How does the water conservation then, benefit me during the drought time? I don't understand the correlation. But that's just me because I'm not educated in that. So could you help me understand that? How you get the public to buy into that?
Okay, so I'm from West Texas, and I know that several of the people that I know actually don't conserve water as they should because they're not knowledgeable in the fact that they need to. So one of our biggest kind of outreaching into the community would be educating the community on why they should conserve their water. And with getting more outcome and active participants, we would get them, we'd have more water available for them during the drought season.
You mean like tanks, water tanks?
Yes,
Yeah,
when we did kind of the panels, they told us that there was reserves, and these are being used often, especially during the drought season. So when they are being used, they're being used more for the people that want to use more, and so during this drought season, those limitations, as well as the education to conserve this water, would help those reserves be enough for everyone else.
Thank you.
Yes, towards the beginning, you did mention that water is recyclable and that it is something that you could reuse. So I don't understand, why would you conserve something that is recyclable that you could use again?
We would educate them on how to save the water and how to reuse it, as well as why you should. Why you should reuse it.
What is the benefit of conserving if you could recycle?
So when we say to recycle water, we mention gray water, which is water that goes into the drainage after you wash your hands or you take a shower or whatever. Now that water isn't necessarily fit for drinking or something that may grow your crops, but we could use it instead for watering your lawn or what?
Or flushing your toilet.
Yeah, flushing toilets.
So
That would be the implementation of purple pipes, because it's a plumbing system that uses connects the sink to the toilet, so you can use the excess water there. Because you don't need the absolute cleanest water for the toilet. I mean, it's gonna get soiled anyway. So
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Vianney Peña.
I'm Amy Huang.
Hi, I'm Ana Sosa.
I'm Giovan Cheeseman.
I'm Kevin Garcia.
And I'm Angela Cruz.
And we're the Blue Jays.
I apply to as many scholarships as I can see.
I applied for one scholarship for every computer that I have. But I don't have any freaking computers! I thought scholarships were a bonus.
I apply.
Okay. So now that we've hopefully comedically grabbed your attention, we created the video with the intention of highlighting some of the underlying issues that arise when students apply to scholarships, such as the lack of visibility, resources, and knowledge.
So our main question is, how can we ensure more students find the maximum amount of scholarship money available to them? And our answer is SOAR.
SOAR stands for Scholarship Opportunity Accessible Resources.
So statistically speaking, only about 19% of high school students with a GPA of about between 3.5 and 4.0 receive scholarship awards. Additionally, only 13% of students with scores of 1,300 to 1,400 get the money as well. And so these statistics destroy the misconception that you need a high GPA or a really good score in order to receive a scholarship.
SOAR is basically a nonprofit program that will be established in Brownsville, Texas ISD, and we hope to begin as a startup with a goal to establish local club chapters within this region, and then our end goal is to expand and eventually become a national organization.
Okay, and in order to make SOAR as effective as possible,
and maximize that all students in Brownsville particularly receive all scholarship opportunities, we will incorporate three main components. These include mentors, which are experienced guides that will assist students in a scholarship application process, the outreach component, which will promote our program and enable us to expand as well as reach other students and partners that can assist us with our goal. And our final component is the website, which in the beginning processes will be only for in the Brownsville area, which will serve as a database that will have all scholarship opportunities, particularly local scholarships in Brownsville. And in the later time of our organization, we hope to expand it and make it that all students can apply this website and use it for finding scholarships.
Now, looking at the mentors, the mentors are there to provide feedback on how the mentees can improve on their scholarship application. The mentors will also help the mentees create goals for themselves, ranging from how many scholarships I can apply to how much money I want to gain from the total scholarships I do apply to. They will also guide the mentees through the process of applying for a scholarship, and they will be there hands-on, one-on-one with the mentee. And then lastly, these mentors will have to be knowledgeable of the scholarship process. So the mentees are going to be college students, ranging from college freshmen all the way to college seniors, as they already went through the scholarship process.
So our way to advertise SOAR is through social media, which would be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. And on this social media platforms, we plan to campaign SOAR. And the way we would do that, we would start a hashtag like Soaring with Scholars, something trendy, something simple that will grab the attention of students applying for scholarships. Another thing that we would do, we would have a short video clip that is a quick 30 seconds, similar to our introduction, which was played fun. And we would have that, and those usually play automatically on Twitter. And the students would see that, and that is not something that is easily ignored. And also, we plan to post on these social media websites our scholarship dates and our deadlines. And usually the popular ones like Gates and Dell would be a good reminder for someone that is on social media daily, like the students and our age group that we target.
Some additional factors to consider are partnerships with other organizations. An example of such would be partnering with GO or Generation 1. And basically, since they're established in Edinburgh, Texas, we're in Brownsville, Texas, they would help us expand regionally. And they would also help us establish credibility, since now it's two organizations, not only one. Once we have established credibility, we hope to also partner with scholarship foundations. As we will explain later on, we hope to create a common application for scholarships to make the scholarship application more accessible. And we would have to contact these foundations directly and ask them if they would want to become part of this application process, which would be a common application through a website. We also hope to incorporate a scholarship fair, which would be similar to a college fair, because students already know that they want to go to college, but this would help them reach that goal and help them pay for the tuition. And additionally, we hope to reach out to local organizations for potential funding. We want to be able to incorporate and disperse technological devices to allow the accessibility to online scholarships, because in some low-income areas, they may not have access to computers. They may not be able to apply to these scholarships. So by providing these computers, we would help the ease to this scholarship process.
And although we want to start off small, in the near future, our club hopes to expand enough that we can do a scholarship website nationally. So our scholarship website will have categories of scholarships and a search bar for students if they want to search for specific scholarships. And students that create an account with us will have to answer questions beyond the traditional name or birth date or address, and they will have to answer questions such as how tall are you, to match them with specific unique scholarships that they are eligible for. Another concept we will hope to introduce is something that Anna has pointed out called My Scholar, which will be based on the Common App or Apply Texas, in that it will be like
students will be able to apply for multiple scholarships through just one website, and this will help facilitate the process and encourage more students to apply because it will be easier to apply. And other features we will include featured scholarships, top stories, and common scholarships.
Altogether, we hope that SOAR serves as a bridge for students to reach college at a lower cost. And we hope that by maximizing the access for scholarships to students, that this goal is reached. By mentoring students and pairing them with successful scholarship recipients, promoting SOAR, and partnering with others, we can really reach our goal and help us soar.
Thank you.
Hi, I really liked your presentation, and I heard you guys talking about mentors. I actually am a college student right now, and I did help mentor someone during the school year in their high school year. And one thing that I found troublesome was that it does take a lot of time with my mentee. It took a long time, and getting to know, like, reading their essays, like editing things and stuff like that. And so my question for you is, one, how would you find your mentors? And two, how would you ensure that they would be following up throughout the year and keeping up with their mentees? Because I know it gets really hectic with like exams and stuff like that.
So as we said, our plan is to establish local chapters within the high schools, and this club would be run also by seniors, like high school seniors. So they would be basically like the officers of the chapter, and they would be in charge of contacting the college students and making sure that they're qualified, that they're well known, that they know they know the scholarships already. That way they know that they are qualified to be mentors, and basically they would also make sure that they follow up with their commitment, that they keep on reaching out to the students, and that they complete all of their responsibilities. So they would be in charge of that.
I want to tell you guys, great presentation first, but what will be the difference between SOAR and another program that has the same qualities, like Subiendo, Avid, high school advisors, counselors? What will be the difference between SOAR and them?
So with Avid, the main goal of Avid is college readiness, and SOARS mostly specifies on scholarships. So instead of teaching them the college process and stuff, we teach them the scholarship process, the different types of scholarships, and how they could be more accessible to scholarships, and what they could do to find more scholarships.
Yes, and to add on to that, we would also have an option for the technology gap, and we do notice that not everyone has technology. Not everyone has social media. So the way we would accommodate this is we would have postcards, and those postcards could be handed out to the kids that are not as fortunate or people that do not have access to that technology. And those note cards would contain information about scholarships, well-known scholarships, and information on libraries and where they could go where the technology is accessible.
So your purpose of the SOAR, is it to put scholarships at the fingertips of students, or is it to allow students to prepare them better to actually get awarded scholarships? Is it both, or is it one or the other?
It's actually both.
Yes.
But it's more making them more accessible.
Our group is the bridge between students and scholarships.
So how would you measure your success? So if people apply and you have more applicants but no awards, would that be a successful program?
Well, in the beginning, since we're only doing it at local high schools, the only thing we can do is we can ask the college counselors if they can keep track of what students are getting what scholarships, and if they can measure that. Like at my high school, our college counselor keeps track of what students get what scholarships, and every year she tallies that up. So like this year, I don't know exactly how much we got, but I know it was somewhere in the millions. So like if we can have that number increase from year to year, that would show progress. And eventually, like if it happens at one local chapter, we know that it can happen in like other locations.
As far as funding to keep the program going, how is that going to be? What's the plan for that?
Well, funding, it could be from local businesses. Like we can write a letter to local businesses telling them about our purpose and how this will be really beneficial. And eventually, if we get big enough and this is more impactful, we can get funding from like big scholarships, because like one of our components was also the website, and the website, it could be really helpful to those scholarships because one, it would help them get more applicants, and for the students, they would have a better way to access scholarships.
Yeah, and to add on to this, I'm a Brownsville native, and I was a part of a nonprofit organization, and through there we would reach out to local organizations and ask them to kind of support like our cause. And I think that in Brownsville there's a lot of desire to see the students succeed, so I think that the organizations from Brownsville would definitely like to pitch in and help like our cause.
How are you paying for this? Like for the
Sorry, did you say how are we paying for this?
Yeah.
Could you specify which component of it, or just in general?
Are you getting like funding or getting
yeah,
help from the government?
Yeah, well, we plan on reaching out to local organizations there in Brownsville and asking them to like make contributions to us.
And also another aspect was if we, with our mentors, they can also help fundraise. And although that is an extra job, that is part of being a mentor, is taking on that extra task. And if our mentors do a good job of fundraising, that can inspire other people that enjoy our group. And they can be like, I do want to fundraise. I do want to help this group. I do want to help other students have the same opportunity that I was given.
To add on to that, like most components of our program don't really require like funding. Like the mentors, we could offer it as an incentive to the mentors, like you can put this on your resume, or it could be like a form of an internship because they might want to work with students in the future, and this could be really helpful. And social media, you don't really funding for that. So, and the last component, the website, well, we wouldn't really implement that until we got bigger, like we reached wider audiences. And I feel like if we can reach wider audiences, it proves that our program works. So people would be more willing to fund us, like maybe private organizations or companies or other educational agencies.
Let's give them a round of applause.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Oscar Hernandez.
My name is Jenny Cha.
I'm Mark Anthony Rivera.
Stephanie Guerra.
My name is Jocelyn Carrera.
My name is Janessa Schusler.
And my name is Sarah Gonzalez. And so our program is entitled RECO, which stands for Residential Energy Conservation Organization, in which we intend to spread awareness to people of all generations to help make residences more energy efficient. So a little bit of background information. Over the 21st century so far, the consumption of energy has grown exponentially. For example, the average utility bill in the state of Texas is a little over $137, which is ultimately 20% greater than the United States average. So the average consumer will spend about 7% of their total income just on utilities alone, and which can include electricity, which average home users will use a little over 13,000 megawatt hours per year. So overall, homeowners are using a grand amount of money towards their utilities when they can be using it on other purposes and making their homes more energy efficient.
Agreeing with Sarah had said, Texas does consume a lot of energy, and according to Energy Information Administration, we use we have a large dependency on natural resources and also toxins that go into our environment to fuel our necessities for energy. So if we continue at this rate, we will see effects not only that affect our environment, but that also can affect us drastically. For example, climate change is the main issue. So with the increase of using natural resources and toxins into our environment, we will see a greater change, which will increase drought, not only affecting our energy sources, but also water, etc.
Moving on to our program components. The first component is a website, which includes different tabs with different resources, such as an event resource and a news resource. In the news resource, we provide information provided to us by our partners, the Puffins, who concentrate on water conservation, and their program is called PWA.
Okay, so this aspect is community outreach, which is the hands-on portion of our organization. With this, we want to go out into the field and talk to families about being aware of their energy consumption and how to fix it. We want to first start with local park events, like how Earth Day has many festivals to promote like Earth Day. We want to create like booths and games to teach the kids and the families how to be more energy efficient while being fun and educational. We want to first target the kids because we want kids to grow up with this kind of information, so eventually it'll become the norm. We also want to talk to parents because parents can implement these kind of things in their household already. Okay, so get involved. Get involved. This page is kind of like a mailing list because we want to have constant connection with our peers, with our patrons. We want to constantly send them information because we think that the best way to get involved is to get educated.
So we want to figure out some ways we would be able to promote our website. And so we did some research and we found a study from the UK-based firm IPA, which found that both online and TV campaigns increases in ads effectiveness by 54%. And we also found that in America, people spend 43% of their total media time watching traditional media like television. And so that led us to make the decision to make a commercial to promote our website. And here's that commercial. So there are some factors we wanted to consider in making our project and making our solution. So one of those factors was media consumption gaps, and so it's common knowledge that younger people tend to be more active and use more social media, and that older people, they tend to do things like watch TV. In fact, according to Pew Research, the older a person is, the more likely that person is going to say that having a TV is a necessity in their life.
So another factor would be the cost or the issues with funding. So what we plan to do is we intend on relying on donations from sponsors who share the same views as us. For example, we can partner up with a Fortune 500 company, Entergy, which funds local nonprofits who want to conserve energy. And of course, we hope to possibly gain other sponsors in the future who share the same beliefs as us.
So now moving on to the disadvantages and advantages. So we begin with the disadvantages, and some of the disadvantages we looked at could be lack of voluntarily involvement, because a lot of the basis of this program, when we do the outreach events, has to be from volunteers. So these volunteers have to dedicate their time to learn about the information and then go educate. And in addition, funding, the fact is that this is a new program, so there's not quite of a reputation to it, so that might play a factor in if we get sponsored. Now, moving on to the advantages of it, so we mentioned how there's awareness that's hands-on, so that's a more unique factor of it because it promotes awareness within the whole community and community involvement. In addition, targets all demographics, so you have commercials which target the older audience, and then you have social media which targets the younger audience. In addition, as Stephanie had mentioned, it becomes kind of like a norm when you promote this in the media constantly and you address the younger generation first, so that energy saving becomes something that they grow up with.
As much as we'd like to spread awareness to the local community, we would also like to expand our stance of the future at a much larger scale. Some of our future initiatives include sponsorship by state legislators or environmental organizations that have the same view as we do. Grow into a nonprofit organization that spreads awareness, reach and impact the upcoming generations, because like Stephanie said, they are the future. And also, introduce new forms of technology that can help the public and meet the demands of having an energy-efficient home.
Let's imagine a world where things that we take for granted, such as gas and electricity, are scarce. Do we really want our families to grow up in that world? We have created a program named RICO, who helps the communities learn about these and how effective ways to save that energy. We hope that in time we can see visible changes and see that people have changed their ways and create a new generation of eco-friendly homeowners. Join us in a journey to a brighter future by not only supporting RICO in your community, but in your homes. Thank you.
Questions?
So I don't know exactly where they would be, but I'm assuming that there are some duplicative programs and offerings out there, or things that are pretty close to what you guys are doing somewhere. I don't know who runs them, but they're probably, my guess is probably utility companies. Have you guys researched that, and how are you differentiated from things that are already available to folks this way?
That aspect of it, so we mentioned a lot that we target our demographics. So generally when you think about utility companies, they'll target, for example, like the homeowners specifically. And so we are, like, obviously we'll tell about homeowners and we inform them about this, but we also establish a new norm for energy saving in new homeowners. So we focus on that too. So there's a bit more demographic addressed.
Is there, you mentioned that older people like to watch TV.
Fact, they say.
Yeah. So based on that, is the assumption that is your target audience, is there a specific demographic that needs to be more advised about energy consumption? So is that assuming that older people need to be more energy educated that way, or is it that you, because in the next line below that, you stated that you're targeting all demographics. So I wasn't sure whether your target audience would be older folks or younger folks, or is there a specific target that you want to look at?
So our goal is to overall spread awareness about home energy consumption and encourage people to curtail it. Now, we go on some assumptions that say people who are older tend to own their homes and as opposed to renting an apartment. And so that's why in that aspect, the commercial is important, and that's why we do kind of have a very subtle focus on older people, even though we do try and get our message to everyone, because eventually most people are going to be owning homes.
Did your research show that there was a specific demographic that was more, let's say, ignorant about energy consumption? They probably needed more education on that.
We found no research that indicated that.
Yeah, we did. Lower income families, like, I don't know if that's what you mean by demographic. Yeah, lower income families are more prone to use more energy that's because they don't know about energy efficiency. We read a statistic that the majority of people who waste a lot of energy and who aren't like applying these methods are people who don't have access to the information.
Can you talk a little bit about your partnership with the other team and how you aligned and complement each other?
Yes, so I'll talk about the social media aspect of it. So the other team, their project was about giving us information so that way we can put it into the website. So that's my take on it.
The way that we would cooperate with them is by reducing the amount of water we use in homes, which is they were talking about the reduction of water. We're also reducing the amount of energy that we use, because water does take up a lot of our energy. For example, how I put natural gas. We use a lot of natural gas to heat up water. And so, because we use a vast amount of water, because I'm not pretty sure that nobody likes extremely cold water to take a shower in, and like that. So we use heaters and stuff like that to heat up water. And so that takes up a lot of energy that we use, and that uses a lot of natural resources, in which at the end of the day ends up hurting our environment. So that's why our partnership with them will spread more awareness and more information on our page. All right.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Lomelli.
I'm Haley Banda. I'm Irma. I'm Itzel Torres. I'm Amanda Valle.
I'm Roberto Reyes.
I'm Jocelyn Quintero.
And we are
The Fun Guys.
So our essential question is, how can we make parks more ecologically sustainable? So when we talk about sustainability, That is talking about maintenance, self-sufficiency, and of course, avoiding depletion. So the solution that we came up with was actually adding compost to the soil in parks. Not only is this a natural solution, but it also allows parks to look better. It helps the vegetation and the plants. And as we start implementing this at parks throughout the city will overall improve in quality as well. We plan on doing this through volunteer initiatives and implementation in schools. And of course, this also gives the opportunity for a city to come together as one and push for a healthier, ecological future. I'll go ahead and pass it on in order to talk about the specifics of our plan.
So in order to implement the plan for our composting projects in local parks, our organization will be partnering with 5 local schools to start off with. We chose elementary schools because they will help us gather the materials and also educate children in the process. So in further detail, we will equip the schools with biodegradable trash bags for the collection of the food waste that we will be using to create the decomposable food products that kids throw away. So there we're making another resource available to ourselves. So this process is going to take 6 months because of the amount of compost that we need to make. During the 6 months, we will be, our members will be collecting and attending to the food waste. So we'll be turning it and we'll be showing the kids, but they won't be dealing with the compost. That's up to us. But this will give them an educational, real life example to earth science in their curriculum that's already in their curriculum in the state of Texas. So furthermore, during the 6 months, we will also be recruiting volunteers through social media and news platforms in Austin. And finally, the day of our volunteering event, we will section off 20 square yards in the local park in order to lay down the compost, and of course, with the help of our volunteers. And now, to explain the decomposable foods, I have Irma.
Now, the composable foods that we'll be focusing on in our schools is the fruits, the vegetables, and the weeds. And we all know that in elementary school, all of these wastes are gone and thrown away in large amounts. And this is also easily accessible products that can be thrown away into degradable bags that our organization will provide. And by providing visuals to our students, they're able to throw away and compost these products. Now, by the children having knowledge of contributing to throwing away these products, they're implementing eco-friendly habits, and they're able to have knowledge into their generation, which will benefit their community in the future. Now, you may ask, why compost? The benefits that come with composting, according to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, refrains us from using fertilizers, which is chemical, which is harsh to the soil. It also reverses deforestation, which will have a better wildlife environment. Now, also, adding compost enriches our soil to absorb water. And lastly, food waste is also having compost of the food waste is reduced in our landfill. Now, we see the impacts of composting in these images, which we see the improvement of our vegetation and have better beautification of our parks. Now, to explain our budget is Isel.
So 2 items that we'll mainly need are compost bags and compost storage. So the compost bags are going to be used as to where the students will throw away their food that they will not eat. And the compost boxes are going to be used as to where the food waste will actually decompose. And for that, we will need around $600 total. And for the funding, we are planning to have donators and grants that we will apply for. And some of these are the Urban Land Institute City Energy Project Grant, the Waste Management Charitable Giving, and the 5% campaign made by the Eagles.
Okay, and so since we are generally a new organization, we realize that we can't be 100% perfect from the get-go. So we realize that we do have some limitations in that regards. So one of those limitations would be that we are a small group. So we have very limited amount of people and helping hands that would actually be able to help us. So we can only help so many schools. So that's why we're only going to help 5 from the start. And from there, we also have a limited amount of spaces to where we can store the compost. So we are only limited to the space that we have there at the elementary schools right now. And although these limitations do seem like obstacles, but they are not impossible to overcome. So to overcome them, we have come to the conclusion that we should begin to like group ourselves with other organizations to get some credibility, so that the communities that we are helping can develop a trusting relationship with us. And with that, I leave it to Roberto to explain alternatives.
Now, when it comes to finding a solution to a problem, there tends to be alternative solutions. And one of those happens to be biochar. Now, the reason why we decided not to use biochar was because, as stated in the name, it's charcoal. And the way you make charcoal is by burning biomaterial that creates CO2, which is pollution, and that defeats the purpose of us helping the environment. Now, we could plant plants, flowers, and things like that, but then a lot of those require a lot of high maintenance, and they would need constant watering and things like that, and that wastes clean drinking water. So we decided that would probably not be the best solution. And I'm sure you may be asking yourself, why not just use regular fertilizer? And the thing about that is, a lot of common fertilizers today are mixed in with chemicals and pesticides and things like that. And a lot of those wash off with runoff from rainwater and may end up in the groundwater supply and may contaminate our drinking water or affect other wildlife.
So what comes next? After our first project with the 5 local elementary schools and the public park here in Austin, we are determined and hopeful that we will get grants by the government and have fundings with environmental and volunteering organizations that will help us not only expand our solution with the various schools, but help us touch topics on the reduction by reducing the tons of millions of food waste that we have here. Even though we have a limited amount of land space, a limited amount of landfills here in Texas, also we are making composting a social norm by implementing it onto the elementary schools. And lastly, but most importantly, parks will be more ecologically sustainable, which is mainly the point we're getting to.
So why is sustainability a problem? In the future, if we continue the way that we are, we'll invest more money and more time in simply maintaining our parks and not improving them how we normally should. By composting, we're being proactive and we're getting ahead of that. We'll know that we solve this problem whenever the parks are healthier, greener, and the public is consistently taking care of them. We're the Fun Guys. We ask for your support in raising awareness and in donations. Again, we're the Fun Guys.
And we're breaking down the problem.
Any questions? Yes, Jamie.
So I have a sister who lives in Seattle. Seattle had a school district that tried this, and they had a very significant problem with odor from the compost. And this is probably a result of it was human error in the composting process, but it happened nonetheless, and they ended the program. How do you guys, how would you address something like that? Because it's a public relations issue, right? Like that, they had a problem, people hated it, and they just threw it away. You know, they threw away the whole program. How would you manage something like that and make sure that you don't have those types of problems with your program?
So we were thinking about where would we store the compost if we want the kids to have access to see how this works, because this again would help educate them. So when we were budgeting for the kinds of bins we would need, the figure we came up with was a bit high because the bins are not sealed, but they do contain odor, but they allow oxygen to flow through as well as let the material decompose. But we would want these bins to stay at the school, so the kinds of bins that we calculated our money for, they would fix that problem. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
So what happens if something does go wrong? Do you guys have a strategy for public relations? So you go, no, actually it's really a good thing, let's stick with it, we'll fix the problem. Like, what do you think about public relations management?
In terms of public relations, composting isn't something that the public knows a lot about. So we want to make sure that we're educating whenever we take a next step. We want to say, well, hey, we're doing this, and our reasoning behind this are these reasons. That way, whenever things may be questioned, we could be like, okay, well, these are the reasons behind that, basically.
To add on to that,
composting in the U.S. is a very wide thing, but however, only 7% of the composting that takes place in America is by food scraps. However, the food wasted here in America, that makes up 20 to 30% of the I want to say the space in landfills, and that's really an issue we have to address as well, because here in Texas we only have 56 years left of the landfill itself if we continue not reusing the resources we have, such as food waste, by making the effort in composting.
And also, back to the fact that yes, it does work, in informing the public that it does work. As you mentioned, there have been other programs and other cities that actually use composting and have demonstrated effects as to how it actually benefits the soil and how that affects plant growth. So if per se something goes wrong with our program, we can go ahead and reference the information from other programs and say, like, okay, if we make it more similar to this, if we help improve it, you can see here that by using compost, it actually helps improving the plant growth here, and we could do that here.
So how are you planning to reach out to the wider community and kind of like gain their support?
So, since decomposing foods with this amount that we need takes 6 months, we plan to use that period to advertise for ourselves, to recruit volunteers, not necessarily like any old commercial you would see, but more recruiting volunteers, maybe even that are connected to the school or in the community surrounded by the park we're going to start working on. So we would do that through news outlets and social media.
And I would like to add on to that, like along with being inclusive, is that we are also making their parks prettier. So their community parks are becoming a prettier place for them to go. And with that, I do believe that there will be an appreciation for our efforts that we are doing. And that's all I have to say.
I have a question. As you mentioned, food waste in America is a really big deal. You don't think that using that food wasted to compost parks will encourage food wasting, as it will benefit the park?
Well, the thing about that is right now it's considered food waste, mainly because of the fact that there aren't composting programs. Like even here in Austin, there wasn't a composting program for a while, and that increased the development of composting programs that actually do services, sort of like trash can, like garbage pickup. So by increasing the availability of a composting program that allows people to go ahead, instead of throwing their food away, they can go ahead and put it in this other bin that's actually useful and keeps it from becoming waste in landfills.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're Team Bulls, and we're going to present to you guys our solution over a challenge we're facing on higher education.
So we want to help students become knowledgeable about how to pay for college. So our question is, how can we ensure more students are better informed about the different financial options to college?
We proposed 3 solutions, and our solutions were a mobile lab, alumni association, and a financial education class. And we're going to go more in depth about the financial education class.
So the reason why learning about financial aid in high school is important is because, well, not those many minorities are going to college, and in today's society that needs to change. And one of the reasons why not those many minorities are going to college is because families aren't aware of the importance of college and the resources being offered to pay for college. So usually when families see the tuition of college, they freak out and they're like, nope, we're not going to take our child to school because of that. Another reason is because in low-income schools, they don't teach about financial aid and how to apply for it. They address it, but they won't really enforce it over the students.
And this can have a great impact in society
Because, in fact, 22% of Texans who are living currently in poverty are actually people who didn't get to go to college. And this is considering that the average poverty line is 24,600 for houses with 4 people living in them. And so about 50% or a little more of Texans didn't get to go to college. With students not being knowledgeable about the financial opportunities that they might have, they might feel discouraged about going to college, therefore making it harder for them finding a high-paying job or a job at all, and then hurting the economy because they will later have to depend on the government to feed their families. So therefore, ensuring that students are aware of the financial opportunities that they have is crucial.
So our ultimate goal is sustainability, and how do we get sustainability for educational finance courses that will inform about the different financial aid opportunities, those being grants, loans, scholarships, work study opportunities. So how are we going to set this up again for future Subiendo scholars? So we want to provide the necessary tools to begin the educational finance course. So how does this look like? First of all, we want to set a curriculum with which we have designed. We'd like to train teachers and communicate with parents of the students. So this sustainability not only proves consistency, but also it teaches them to be on track, because it's this idea that one thing solves another. Because if we have students prepared to apply to these financial aid opportunities, then they will also be on track for like essays and grades and volunteering hours. This directly ties back to the financial aid opportunities that they will be presented by. But as great and amazing as this might sound, we also know that there is limitations, one of them being not enough funds, another one being unreliable data or a lack of interest. But we also know how to tackle these limitations. With regards to not enough funds, we have to come clear with our commitment and ultimate vision for our financial course. So finding people who share those same visions and donors.
As far as funds and sponsorship goes, we want to ask local college admission officers if they can voluntarily train our teachers to provide the most reliable information for our students. So things about grants, loans, the different types of loans, like private loans, subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans, scholarships, and work studies. We're seeking sponsorship from the Friends of Subiendo, such as Google and UT Austin. These sponsors and donors mentioned will be making an investment in our program as well as a solution to Team Monkeys, which will be collabing with us. They're providing technology for students. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And as far as our program goes, we want to reach out to larger corporations once we can prove that this program actually works and is actually helping our students.
In regards to the rest of the limitations with unreliable data, we would like to, and as we will discuss later on, conduct surveys when we actually begin the program, and to feel where students are coming in with knowledge about financial aid opportunities and college acceptance and financial aid packages data. And then for lack of interest, we would promote it with UT's name, because we understand that a lot of small places in Texas, especially South Texas, which is our focus, understand that UT is a very important school. It's a very good school to come to. So if they know that UT is behind us, they will accept the help.
We targeted two low-income areas in Texas, like Guadalupe said, in South Texas. One of the schools, the poorest schools we targeted were in Roma and Edgecouch, Elsa. At Edgecouch, Elsa's 86% of the students are economically disadvantaged. But they have high graduation rates. And although they have high graduation rates, most of the students aren't going to college because of the economic disadvantages. And we compared the data from Edgecouch, Elsa, and Roma to schools in Austin and how they have high income and how the students that they are sending off to college.
As said before, we did compare a high income and a low income high schools. Those being Westwood High School, the students are economically disadvantaged at a 12% rate. The students at risk that are at a dropout percentage would be 21%, and then the 4-year graduation rate is a 99%. Also, Westlake High School students are economically disadvantaged at a 3%, and then the ones who are at risk for dropout at a 4%,
and the 4-year graduation rate is a 99% as well. And then these are just visuals of the comparison between the low income and high income high schools.
Okay, so our solution, we decided to, and we're gonna have a educational finance course. This will be a 4-year program for students to gain knowledge about the different financial opportunities there is out there for them to go to college. The support for students are seeking, like, even if they're like gonna go to community college or vocational school, like, we're gonna provide financial opportunities for those also. And we'll be closing the gap of students who don't know about financial opportunities by providing students with the tools necessary to be knowledgeable about these aspects.
Okay, so when we first launched the project, we're going to try it on a whole generation in order to gather data, to compare it from previous years, and to prove our course. So the first 2 years, when they're freshmen and sophomores, we're basically just getting teachers trained, getting expertise, collaborating with us, community support, and having some meetings. And when we get the junior class, it's going to be a semester long. We're going to have the curriculum based on their needs from the information, and we're going to focus on teaching different financial opportunities for them.
And as for their senior year, we will expect them to apply the educational skills that they learned through the course their junior year. And then when they are done applying those skills through their applications, then they will be mentors for the juniors that will be in their steps, following their steps. So we are Team Bulls, and we would like to thank you for your time and for listening to us. And we would like your support, because we know that with your support, we can close the gap in small places in Texas, South Texas, and then also make it bigger to maybe their counties, their cities, and then throughout the whole state of Texas eventually. So thank you.
Yes.
How is your program different from other financial literacy courses like EverFi?
Okay, it's a project, a 4-year, it's gonna take 4 years, but it's not a program, it's a class. It's a semester-long class, and our ultimate goal is to make it mandatory. That's the difference from, like, I know many of us have classes, like college readiness classes already, but this is our ultimate goal. After proving and gathering all the data, we're gonna take it like to the school district, and then to the city, and expand it hopefully statewide. So that's the difference. We're gonna make it mandatory, so we make sure every single student in every single high school knows about financial opportunities. And it's really, really important to know about it, because maybe we sometimes focus a lot in scholarships, but that's not the only thing we can do. We can have the work study, which is like working for the school, right? And I didn't know that like 2 weeks ago. So that's a really important point for us, letting them know all the opportunities. We don't only offer like knowing about scholarships, but about everything. That's the major difference between programs. Thank you for your question, though.
Is the goal of the program for students to apply, so after the 4 years, is the success of the program for somebody to just be able to apply for financial aid? Or when you talk about finance class, are we also trying to teach these kids what to do with the money after they apply for it, if they get it? Or is it just for them to apply and that's, we're calling it, is that what the goal of it is? Because I'm trying to figure out what they're gonna learn about finance classes, or what the finance thing's about. Is it for them to just simply know more about if there's financial aid available? Or is it if there's financial aid available, and then this is how you manage your finances once you get to college? I mean, so.
No, the main focus is about knowing all the opportunities, but we're gonna have them like know about filling applications, regarding like the money, how to manage the money. But like the main focus is letting them know all the opportunities. Is that okay? Anything else? Thank you for your question. Yes?
Okay, So how will you, because you're focusing on young adults that are going to college, right? So how are you gonna focus on the ones that have already dropped? Because I know that there's an 8.5 rate percentage of Texas of students who have dropped already. How will you focus on that young adult age group? Their drop rate.
Oh, that's why we wanted to start the 4-year program and start them off as freshmen so they can develop as the years go. And throughout the years, like their freshman and sophomore years, they will be informed like with meetings, just informing them about the different opportunities. And then as they get to junior year, they can take the class and there they'll actually be hands-on with the class itself.
And how will you convince other schools to fit your course in their curriculum?
Because if you look at the numbers and you see how the economically disadvantaged classes, they have almost the same 4-year graduation rate, but they have a significant drop-off in the amount of students that have the economic opportunities. And we just want to cut down the reason that students aren't going to college is because they don't have the economic means and financial means to get to college. So the class is really just like taking away that the options. The students are saying that, oh, I can't go to college because my parents are not able to pay for it.
Thank you.
So you're saying you're planning on making this, I guess, a class, correct?
Correct.
How would you know for sure that the students are going to pay attention in class? Because I know in high school, there's a bunch of students that do not, unfortunately, pay attention in class.
Can I ask you a question? Like, when you're in school, like, it's not going to be just a class, like, you just go there and it's like a free period. I mean, you're going to have assignments and grades and, like, there's a process to it, so it's like a normal class.
But like I said, they really don't pay attention in class, even with the assignments. So how are you going to make sure they actually do pay attention?
If you have that's why we're going to have the necessary materials and the teachers that are going to be trained to get the kids involved and interactive, and the teachers are going to be engaging and actually caring about what they're doing, have a passion, so that they can give the kids opportunity.
This is a project-based learning class to keep students engaged and interested. So we're having projects. And one thing we all mentioned and said we're gonna do is having at the end of the semester, for the ones that successfully completed the class, they're gonna take a trip. They will fundraise all semester long to take a trip to one university to also they can like know and experience one day at one university. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Isaac Salazar.
My name is Mauricio Guerrero.
I'm Michelle Guevara.
I'm Luzia Chapa.
I'm Marty Spangrid.
I'm Miranda Nunez.
I'm Liza Wadeke, and we are the Kangaroos. The project we'll be presenting is a student organization that developed Algamos Algo, which falls in the category of energy and environment. So first, let me ask you to do this. Picture yourself walking in the beach, in any beach in the coast of Texas. As you're walking, you encounter large amounts of brown algae, which eventually ruins the beautiful view of the beach and your visit at the beach. So what if I told you that that extra amount of algae could be used to solve a major environmental issue in the state of Texas?
So over the past couple of years, there has been a rise in the accumulation and mass production of improperly disposed plastic water bottles. And as this issue has been prominent in the state of Texas, we propose to produce Algamos Algo, an algae-based biodegradable water bottle. So this water bottle has the potential to reduce the plastic by 45% and be cost efficient for any company in the state of Texas that is willing to invest in our project. And as for the name, Algamos Algo is a Spanish translated word algae to alga, and together Algamos Algo translates to let's do something.
Plastic water bottles are very convenient, but they pose a big threat both to our environment and to our personal well-being. Plastic water bottles take about 400 years to decompose in our landfills, which are almost to maximum capacity within the next 60 years. Plastic water bottles also take about 17 billion barrels of oil to produce, which can be hazardous. Biodegradable water bottles are not made with oil, and they take a lot less to decompose in our landfills, and because of this, it'll take more time to fill our landfills. And the bottles begin to decompose after the water has been consumed out of the container. As for the materials that are used to create these water bottles, we use brown algae, agar, biodegradable plastic, water, and other different, like a variety of nutrients. And we use a heating and a cooling process along with a mold for the mixture to make these bottles.
Okay. So as you heard in the last slide, this biodegradable water bottle is made up of a distinct variety of materials. That is why I will further explain both the good and the bad. So the main ingredient in this solution is brown algae. Brown algae is rich in potassium, iodine, calcium, B vitamins, and it helps reduce glucose. It also promotes vascular and digestive health. It helps also to manage weight, and it even has an anti-inflammatory properties that can help reduce swelling, and it eases the pain. So although it could be rare, algae can cause minor allergy reactions. Additionally to this, the biodegradable bottle will consist of a label that will provide information about the ingredients in it, so in order to be able to avoid any type of allergic reactions from the consumers.
Okay, the plastic water bottles that we constantly are using are not as effective as they may have seemed. In 2016, Americans spent $16 billion just buying water bottles, and additionally, 190,000 houses could have been powered with all of the energy that was used to produce all of those water bottles. As we can see, these water bottles are not as effective. They are contaminating, they're only hurting our environment, and they are causing problems in our economy. So, but when we look at the effectiveness of our algae-based water bottle, we see how, in fact, we're going to be reducing pollution because plastic water bottles are not going to end up in the landfills. Biodegradable water bottles are not going to be ending up in the landfills, are not going to be ending up in the ocean, or simply just thrown around in the ground. Our landfill space is going to be increasing because they're going to decompose themselves within the time span that was already mentioned. We're not going to be contributing to the ineffectiveness of recycling because less than 20% of water bottles that are used right now are being recycled, and they're being thrown out into the ocean, which contributes to all of the death in the fishes, and it actually contributes to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is a large mass in the Pacific Ocean that is 3 times the size of France, and it is made up of plastic.
The difference between plastic-based water bottles versus our algo-based water bottles is immense. One key example, as mentioned before, is that a single plastic water bottle takes 400 to 1,000 years to decompose. To put things in perspective, America is just a little over 240 years old, which means that the first water bottle ever made is still roaming in our ecosystem. So this is just only one bottle. So imagine the millions and millions of water bottles we dump out in the ocean slowly degrading away. Another fact of plastic bottles is that they contain hormone-disrupting chemicals that can cause cancer, obesity, infertility, miscarriages, and many other problems such as neurological disorders. Algamos algo bottles do not have this problem. They are made from brown algae, which has many benefits as mentioned before by Lucia. Not only will you be helping the environment, you will also be helping yourself.
After listening to my peers, you're probably wondering how we are going to implement this, and along with other details. So to begin with, the manufacturing cost of a single water bottle from Algamos Algo is about 30 cents, compared to a plastic water bottle, which is $2.25. We plan on reaching out to companies that are looking for new water bottle innovations such as Nestle, and eventually sell the patent for about $1.6 million and 50% of the ownership.
So in the future, we hope to excel in hometown, statewide, and national engagement and scale production. But for now, with obtaining a patent and sponsors for research, we can implement this algae-based water bottle during outreach at UT Austin within the local student population and further Austin independent school districts as well as city limits. So UT provides the Longhorn Run, which is a recreational activity that is in need of water resources. So the timeline shown for our plan of expansion isn't hypothetical, but rather regulated in retrospect to our dreams and aspirations for algo más algo. So overall, reducing these non-reusable plastic water bottles is actually a threefold. So on top of the pollution in the landfills, this issue also concurs with increasing fish larvae and a decrease in algal blooms within an ecosystem. So we now conclude this presentation, and on behalf of Team Kangaroos, thank you for your time and support for Algo Más Algo.
Good job. Any questions? Yes.
Okay, so that was super cool. Like potential global impact, really big thinking, but how in the world will you possibly do this as students? Like what would be your steps? You mentioned patents and all, that's awesome, very entrepreneurial. But like, how are you gonna accomplish a project of this size and scope? And where are you getting your expertise and how are you gonna do this?
Okay, we can start off here in UT, and for example, we're going to be juniors, we're going to be seniors, and then once we graduate, for example, we come here to UT, or we can do our research here at UT, and then since UT will be sponsoring us with that research, we can go ahead and continue to do it while we're at school, while we're here, and then follow up, then go ahead and actually create the product, then continue to sell it, further our research. And since we have this research being done here at UT, we have that credibility with us, making the product very credible and making it very very favorable in the public, because they know the school, they know how important it is, and they know how well it works in academics and in everything. So we have that credibility with us.
Have you located a professor that has research like this ongoing?
We have not located a professor, but there's actually a company that has started already. It's called OOHO. It's a company set in London, and like we said before, they also said that it was cheaper than plastic. And it was founded by Rodrigo Garcia Gonzalez and Pierre Ives. I can't really pronounce his last name, but it starts with a P. So, so basically, they came up with the same idea in 2014. It's basically just the same thing that we're having, but it's a spherical, membrane-bound algae base. So it means that it's also edible. So we could we could start connections with them and see if we could expand this project, because right now the only reason they haven't been successful towards it is because they don't have enough funds for it.
So I'm gonna finish this water bottle. I'm gonna recycle it. If more people do that, how would recycling efforts compete with what you're trying to do?
Because even the smallest amount of plastic, or even the plastic bottles that you're using right now, because many companies have just reduced the amounts of plastic, and that's why they're so thin. Like whenever you go to the stores and then you complain that, oh my god, it's so thin, like why is it breaking on me? That's why they're trying to do something. But even those as thin as plastic don't don't decompose as fast as our water bottle does. They take 400 years still. So as Mauricio stated, if we would have created a water bottle since America started, like it still wouldn't have decomposed, because America is 200 years old, and that water bottle would have taken 400 years. We still need more time, even if it's the tiniest bits of plastic.
We also forgot to mention, but the algae-based water bottle starts to decompose the moment it has no water on it. So it would take approximately 36 months to fully decompose. Questions? Go ahead.
I have a question. So what I'm thinking about it right now is pricing. What would you say, how would the prices compete with normal plastic water bottles to make the public want to buy these instead of the plastic water bottles that might save them money?
Well, actually, to make a single water bottle, as I mentioned before, is only 30 cents as compared to a regular plastic one, which is almost $3. So the pricing of these water bottles, the retail price would be much less. So that's a way that we can also gain people's attention and people to buy our product.
So it takes $3 to make this?
Most of the money, well, it takes it takes more money to make the actual bottle than the water itself.
So how do they make money? I mean, you buy this for $1.
They make money off the plastic, not from the water.
They make money because you buy them in cases or you buy them in gallons, and since you're buying a lot and it's hot or you simply need water to stay alive, so you don't necessarily care how much you buy or you don't necessarily care how much you're buying it for, so they can put the 24 water bottle case for $3, for example, at HEB, and you're gonna buy it. But since a lot of people keep buying and buying and buying, they're gonna eventually make some revenue out of it. Also, if you think about it, because I know you're kind of not making sense out of it, but okay, if you think about it, a case of water bottles cost about $4. And a single water bottle at the corner store can cost up to like $2.50. So as long as they keep buying those single water bottles, they're making some money out of it.
So what you're saying is that it takes on a 24 case, it takes about $80 or whatever to make the entire thing. They don't make any money out of that, but they make money out of buying a single water bottle?
Yes.
Any more questions? Go ahead.
Okay, so from what I got, we're talking about reducing the extensive plastic that we use, and y'all are switching to different ones. But what about the plastic that's already in the oceans and that people are still using? What are y'all gonna? How does that benefit that if it's still gonna be there?
Okay, so additionally, I would like to say that by using brown algae, our solution Hagamos Algo would not only reduce the use of non-reusable plastic bottles, it would also help the aquatic population by reestablishing the natural ecosystem, since it already has been damaged by all this plastic. And also, we're also helping the aquatic population as well by bringing, like, basically getting the algae from it, since there's like an excessive amount of it and it hurts the animals at the same time at some point.
Yeah, but like the plastic. I guess my question was like the plastic that's already there. What are y'all gonna do about it?
So there's actually nothing that we can do about the damage that has been done to the ecosystem, but our solution is
to reduce it.
Is to reduce the amount of plastic that is going to be there in the future, because there's approximately 60 years left of landfills, and so there's no alternative to landfills. So our bottle is going to biodegrade in the ground, and the plastic bottles in the ocean are already in the ocean. And unless we find a solution to that, then our bottle is the only other option that there is.
Hello, good afternoon. We are the Otters. My name is Jose Martinez.
I'm Shaylin Cariaga. I'm Stephanie Fabian.
I'm Jacqueline Tello.
My name is Cheyenne Hunter.
My name's Jessica Perez.
I'm Eric Amezcua. We are here to propose a solution in an effort to promote work through network.
All right, for overview, we're going to start our presentation by introducing the challenge question and provide some background information with as data and as well as the factors that help us about or to consider about the problem. Next, we're going to propose a solution and give a detailed explanation about the advantages and disadvantages. And then at the end, we're going to finalize our presentation with a Q&A session.
Our challenge is to help students develop career paths and networks. And our essential question is, how can we increase students' ability to enhance their professional relationships while in college?
To provide data for this issue, my team and I have made some research in which we found out that 27% of graduates already have a job after college, 16% of them take more than 1 year, and 38% of them have trouble keeping up with the network. All of this shows that many of them have trouble enhancing with their professional relationships, so that's why we are addressing this issue.
For a visual presentation of this data, we have a graph showing the benefits of obtaining an internship. We are comparing students who have done internships during their college years versus students who have not done any at all. Throughout the different fields of study, we have similar results. This pattern shows how the number of students who obtain a job is much higher in students who have done internships before or during the college versus students who have not done any. This is due to the cost of networking and experience, which is offered by internships. What happens if no action is taken? Many college graduates find themselves in the scenario of graduating with their college degrees, their certifications, and coming to the question of, now what? Only 27% of graduates have a job waiting for them after college, but what happens to the other 73%? They are considered disadvantaged as they cannot find a job, have high unemployment rates, and poor networking skills, which creates an obstacle for them as they try to progress within the career that they studied for.
Our team has come up with multiple solutions, some of this being sponsorships or mentorships. And this will provide the students like a better opportunity to have a more personal relationship with a mentor or sponsor. However, because this is not a requirement, there's a high chance that students are less likely to participate. Therefore, it won't be as effective as our main solution, which is to do it as a mandatory class. Because they will be earning the credit, they will be more motivated to make a bigger effort and practice the job.
So, what is the class? The class will go over the first 2 years in college, and it'll focus on professional skills. And by professional skills, we mean building up on leadership skills, hard skills such as more technical, career-oriented. So learning how to correctly use an Excel spreadsheet. Additionally, the class will help increase exposure to the workforce, and by that, the class will show students different opportunities that they can get. So an internship, whether it be paid or unpaid, or other opportunities to actually get experience. Additionally, the course will include workshops where the students will actually be able to apply the skills that they learn. Additionally, in order to ensure that students are really learning the skills and maintaining them, the class will implement deadlines where the students should have applied to, for example, let's say October, have applied to at least 3 different internships, and then at another deadline, make sure that the students have an internship.
And then for factors that we had to consider while coming up with a solution, we had to consider things like effectiveness, like what would be curriculum that would actually be effective, and would it be accepted? How long would it last? And how could we build credibility for our solution to actually be implemented in an education place? So, yeah. And then for finances, we will link up with corporations and businesses with grants, philanthropy, and donating. We will link up with corporations like Google, IBM, Texas Instruments, McGraw-Hill, and Scholastics. We chose these corporations because they write grants for educational purposes already. They give out scholarships for educational purposes already, so they wouldn't have a problem with funding something that is for education.
And so along with every solution, there's always advantages and disadvantages that we need to consider and are important to address. And for disadvantages, there is the large classes. Since there will be large classes, there's less of a personal connection with our professors, which a mentorship, on the other hand, would provide. There's also different levels that students may come in. Like some may already have prior work experience, prior experience with like resumes and stuff, and some may come as a blank slate. So it is important to acknowledge that. There's also the 4 years. It is a 2-year mandatory course, and we will not follow through the 4 years as mandatory. The last 2 will be optional, which is also benefit/a disadvantage.
So for the advantages, it is a beneficial class. It will help build professional skills, and like my colleague said, it's a 2-year course, being freshman and sophomore year, which is mandatory, and then junior and senior year being optional, because we know seniors and juniors have a more of a busier schedule. And we are also partnering with the Swans and their Generation 1 plan by focusing on first-generation students, since they don't have as many resources, and this will help them prepare for the real world and the workforce.
So how will we actually make sure that the students are building up better professional relationships and building better career pathways? So what we want to do is make sure that students have experience so that they're better able to enter the workforce. And so we'd measure that by seeing a increase in employment rates after graduation. And so we'd get that data from surveys that we take before entering the class and after entering the class.
Another aspect of this big picture, it will be the post-graduation outreach. This would help us determine the success. What is success in this context? It will be being more professional, having more professional skills, improving networking, also getting better jobs, and lowering the percentage of people taking more than 1 year to find a job after college.
So thank you all for your time, and we appreciate all the support we can get for our project, and we urge you all to cooperate and contribute to our solution. Thank you.
Questions? Yes, Jaquana?
Okay, so with this being a focus on college students and making it a mandatory class, how does this affect college degree plans in terms of looking at students who are specifically here at UT in the engineering program, which becomes a 5-year program just with their current basics and required classes?
Okay, so that's why for the first 2 years, it's mainly basics. So why not teach them the basics of learning how to get an internship, learn professional skills?
Yeah, so as you're saying, so students who are here for a specific like career-oriented job, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So then we're not only showing students like career-oriented skills, we're showing them how to get experience, how to build skills that they can use outside of that field. So such as like better leadership skills, better communication skills like in group work and such. So yeah.
To piggyback on, we've learned that employers know that you're good at your hard skill because that's what you went to school for. For your last 2 years, you were studying hard at your hard skill, which is the specifics. But they're finding out that people are actually lacking more soft skills. That's why this should be a mandatory course to teach people the soft skills that we're lacking on in the workforce.
So I was wondering, in your research, have you found any school or colleges that offer a certain class, a class that you propose, and also do you know what their success is?
We actually did find one. It's actually here in UT. It's called, I think, UGS, and it's like a 4-year kind of similar program, and it has had, from what we've heard, it is pretty successful in its efforts.
However, that one is optional. So our team leader, for example, she said that her friends are in it, however, she isn't. So we'd basically be implementing all those basic skills on everyone rather than just certain people who want to nitpick.
Okay, second question. So I am a ULN Scholar, which is University Leadership Network, and it's a scholarship program that's offered here through UT, which goes over all of these skills. So if this class becomes mandatory, how does that affect students who are receiving scholarships through that program and it focuses on all of these skills?
If the class is a mandatory class, it will only grow you. More education won't ever hurt. So being that you get more than one internship, when you get to your work resume and when you get out of college and your next employer is asking you, what is your experience? Where have you been with this? You have pretty much double win.
Furthermore, since this is a mandatory course and all incoming students will take it, for example, you're a scholar, but not everyone is. So some people will not get exposure to that certain set of learning opportunities, and practice doesn't hurt. You're not perfect at everything you do, so more practice in the long run will not hurt.
Once again, the goal of this course is to provide resources for them to be able to create their own career pathway for once they graduate, instead of graduating with all the degrees that they need, but once they get out there, not being able to find a job and being unemployed.
Why go to school for something and then you get out of school and you can't even get into that degree field? So if you get a degree in biology and you go be like an office worker or a receptionist, what's the point when you have the strong skills, you have the leadership skills that we are lacking in soft skills? Your employer will employ you because you have exactly what they're looking for, and that's why we made it mandatory. You're welcome.
Great job, team. Well, that concludes our presentations. Can we give a round of applause to all of our teams? That was wonderful. Good job. Good job. All right, I see a lot more smiling faces. I bet you're all relieved now that the project is done, right? Yes? Okay, good. Good. Well, teams, we're going to finish here. We're going to start picking up all of our things, make sure your area is clear. We will go and take, I believe, a photo. If y'all haven't done that yet already, we're going to take one group photo in front of the Capitol. So be sure to have all your things, and then your team will escort you to the buses so we can load and take you to your farewell celebration dinner tonight, okay? So congratulations again, team. Thank you to our judges for being with us today. We greatly appreciate all your time and efforts in being with the Subiendo Academy, so thank you very much.